Well, what could be a better day for you than this? Brad Stine, God's Comic, and Brad Stine Has Issues. Another Monday where comedy, Christianity, and conservatism collide in a cacophony of clarity. We have a very special guest tonight. This is special for many reasons. One, she's a friend and she's a wonderful woman. But equally important, she was one of my first original guests when we first started Brad Stine Has Issues. Her name, Victoria Robinson. Her ministry, abortion, for women that have suffered abortion and have mental and psychological torment. She has ways to help free them and to heal them. And this is very important, she has one for men as well. As you know, a couple weeks ago, we had a man who talked about the pain of losing a child to abortion from the man's side, and she's going to talk about that as well. So if you're a man that has suffered from this is a way for you to get help. She runs seminars that help men and women through this process. Victoria Robinson will be on shortly talking about her life, her ministry, and what she suffered through this incredibly bad situation known as abortion, but how it can be redeemed and overcome. Me, I feel good, I feel excited, I feel alive, and why wouldn't I? I just got back from Nebraska. Wait, what? I was in two places in Nebraska, Wyatt, and if you don't know who Wyatt is, and you should, he's incredibly important to Brad Stine Has Issues. He's my confidant, he's my sidekick, he's my producer, director, and choreographer, and often does ballet spontaneously. My son, Wyatt Stine. Wyatt, thanks for coming on Brad Stine Has Issues. I didn't expect you today.
Well, what can I say? I got bored today. I was thinking of things to do. Then I saw this weird podcast on the internet.
Yeah, I don't really hear you in your microphone. Is it on?
You don't hear me?
Well, not very loud. And maybe that's for the good. Maybe it's
okay,
God's...
is that better?
That's way better.
Cool. I'm not sure who messed with my dials, but you know how I feel about dial messes with.
Why, did you know my first band was called Mess With My Dials?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not really sure if I should be proud or insulted by that name.
Well,
because I don't know what it means.
Well, nobody does, and that's why the band folded within 2 weeks. It was only
2
around
weeks?
for 2 weeks. You know what? I lost my bass player right off the bat, which is always the case. What is it with bass players that are so flaky? Though no one is flakier than, and you would know this, the drummer. What is it about drummers? You're
Listen.
a drummer. What is wrong with you guys?
Occupational hazards.
Tell me about it. Is it the sound of the banging in your ears?
It's really more the fact that if you're behind a giant kit of really heavy things and your entire task is to bang on them like a chimpanzee at a zoo,
Yeah.
you know, injuries are bound to happen.
Yes. I find it interesting that you made it sound like this giant hunk of machinery, and it is. When you look at a bass, a guitar, and a piano, a drum is pretty complex. It's very extravagant, sophisticated, and yet it's called a kit. It's just a kit. It sounds like a little model you make with glue, airplane glue. So I think that's what throws the drummer. Hey, you want to play on a kit? Yeah, it sounds fun. Something I can cobble together for fun. And then you get there and you realize this is a monstrosity.
Well, you gave me my first drum kit.
I did.
A long time ago. You know those things are like. It's like an IKEA set. You glue it together, you gotta tune it up properly, and then you smack it with a hammer or something.
Know. Yeah, right?
That's just how it works.
Isn't that crazy? You got an instrument that you hit to make sounds. Everything else is kind of strummed or blown into, but not your thing.
Not only do you hit it, but you're actually criticized for not hitting it hard enough.
Right, or hitting it out of beat.
Yeah, or in the wrong space.
Right.
You're telling me there's only certain spots on this thing I can smack to pieces?
Right. And smack consistently. And not with a hired... For example, if you were playing drums and you're a professional drummer, you've been paid for it, that makes you pro, and you've done it your whole life, and you're very good, very talented. You can read drum music. I mean, you're beyond the typical average drummer. So, okay, but they have notations for drumming, right? They have ways that you can teach, like if you are going to play a song, they're like, here's your charts for a drummer, right?
Yeah,
and you can notes. Is there a way to say, by the way, when you hit your tom here, hit this one harder and then hit it softer?
Yeah, it's called an accent.
How do you do that?
So how do you denote it?
How do you
or-
denote it?
Basically, it's like a little like arrowhead sort of thing
Okay.
above the note,
Okay.
and that denotes hit this one with extra gusto.
And by the way, what if it was extra gusto? Does the black arrowhead get bigger to show this is a kuja, where this one's kind of a kuja, this one's a cuckoo, and this one's...
Well, so that would be either a combination of dynamics.
What do you mean?
Piano, mezzo forte, forte, basically
Oh,
letters that denote how high the volume should be.
wow.
But then there's also my favorite way, honestly, of doing that,
Yeah.
which is where the music, who write the music just writes down a sentence in it. It's like, hit this one like you're plowing into a crowd of
Innocent bystanders.
innocent bystanders in a video game.
Yes!
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, oh, I guess I'm just doing this now. Okay.
So there's like, that's one way of, like, how do I denote this? Well, this one's really aggressive. This one's really sweet. This one's really soft.
You need to play this one like you just got the baby to bed, and you swear that if the baby wakes up, you're gonna jump out a window.
So
make so it's soft.
So that's a way of notating to the drummer how to
Yes. Well, anyone in the band how to play.
play. Wow.
Yeah, I've seen some crazy ones.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it's
well, let me
pretty
tell you
funny.
what crazy really is, son. And I know you've been asking me about this for quite some time. I was in Nebraska. Now, you might think to yourself, are you telling me that going to Nebraska has the tendency to drive people crazy? Far be it from me to be anti-Nebraska. And I'm not. Actually, I'm a big fan of Nebraska because it's middle America. And I came from Indiana, which is equally middle America. Farm community, regular folks. And Wyatt, I did two different towns. Now, I'm going to tell you the first town I performed in, and it was for this wonderful Kingdom Coffee group, a little coffee shop by these wonderful Christian women who put it in this store in their town called Superior, Nebraska. Now, a couple things that are interesting about Superior, Nebraska. One, they put a coffee shop in there, and it's Christian owned and operated. They have Christian music playing. It's wonderful. It's got some food, some places for people to dine and everything. Kind of their Starbucks version, because there is none here. Now, Superior, you need to understand, has like 1,500 people in it. Tiny town. And yet they had the audacity to call it Superior. So apparently, in the state of Nebraska, only 15 Nebraskans have the qualities to make them superior, and only they are allowed in the town. They've obviously had to weed out a lot of people from Lincoln. Certainly people out of Omaha couldn't come in, but he called it Superior, and they have this little thing. People drive 10, 20 miles to go to this shop because there's not a lot going on in that area. So that's Superior, and we had a wonderful show in their civic center. They had chili there. They ran out of chili. That was a big, giant fiasco, literally. I thought that this whole show, because it is a small town, would be known as the time we brought in God's comic Brad Stine, and that would be newsworthy, and they have a little newspaper. Instead, it became known as, and will ever be known as, the giant chili fiasco, because they ran out of chili. But anyways, people spent good money to come see me, and it was a wonderful show. Wonderful people. We had a blast, Wyatt. Then I drove to Wakefield, Nebraska, and I did a fundraising comedy for a prison ministry, Epic Ministries. And you got to understand something, guys. If you are a fundraiser, a Christian organization, or just any kind of organization that has beautiful, wonderful things, conservative, pro-life, whatever, I do tons of those because I help people raise money. I want them to for their ministry. It's called Wakefield, and it makes sense. It was nothing but fields. It was hard to stay awake because, Wyatt, I stayed in a farmhouse with these wonderful people who opened up their farmhouse to me. They had their own little space, basement where I got to stay in. And very kind. It was old school Christian hospitality like it used to be, where the local pastor or or not even local, the passing through missionary, people opened their homes up to you. Now, Wyatt, if somebody said, hey, I've got something for you to do over here in this area, and you're going to stay in somebody's house, and you didn't know them, would you feel comfortable or would you feel a little anxious at first?
Well, it kind of depends on the location and how well you know the people, but typically, farmhouse in the middle of nowhere.
Yes. By the way,
Gets kind of.
let me add
yeah.
before you continue,
Okay.
because I think I see where you're going, and I want to give you credit because I think you're anticipating this. It was at least 5 miles of gravel road. No, they did not have asphalt. This was foreign to them. There was no painted lines. There was no sense that civilization had reached this place. It was just rocks and dirt and fear and dread and concern. Will I be found if I end up in a ditch, or if they decide that they aren't going to release me from their grip? So go ahead. What would you feel like as you're driving 5 miles to the farmhouse you finally come across that had no typical...
What I would be thinking is, did the shopkeep who filled up my gas tank always look that suspicious? Did the animals avoid this part of the area just because they just don't like it? Or am I gonna be the main character of a horror movie again?
All I saw, son, were crows.
Oh yeah, that's horror movie stuff. Okay,
Just
yeah.
crows.
How do I know that you're the real Brad Stine? You could very well be his doppelganger with that. Kills him in the end and takes his
Just
body.
ask me a question that only Brad Stine would know, and we'll get to the bottom of it.
Okay. In some cinema snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ha! The real Brad Stine would have no idea what I just said. You're the phony.
Knew that I didn't know. Dang it! I thought I could get away with it a lot longer than the first episode.
No one ever suspects the complete utter randomness that's just meant to call you out on it.
Well, you nailed me. Dang it. All right, I'm a doppelganger. Your dad's still somewhere in shackles in a basement saying, please, son, come get me if you can find my place. Though you don't like to drive. You are not up. For those who don't know my son Wyatt, and if you're a girl out there longing for a companion, and you're a Christian gal who's seeking for a good man. He is, but he doesn't like to drive. So you'll have to drive him around. He'll sit in the back in a blanket.
Blanket?
Well, just so you feel comfortable, because you're starting to feel upset that you have to drive around and make a decision like, do I turn left or not?
Oh, yeah. Even though the navigation says stay on this road for the past 218 miles, I will always check every half mile. I hate
Navigation, it gets so confusing when it like says turn, and you get there and someone says, no, I meant go straight. And you're like, wait, what happened to the turn thing?
No,
Anyways.
my favorite was when we were navigating to a gig and it told us to turn left right off a bridge.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that was known as the dark GPS.
No. That was the GPS trying to get us away before we became another statistic in a horror movie.
Well, and yeah.
Just get us out of the way.
Don't follow the crows. Trust
Pre-credits.
us. Trust us. This jumping off the bridge will be much better for you in the long run than what you're about to enter.
And statistically, more survivable, too.
Amen, my son. Well, there you go. That's why you're my sidekick, buddy. You know everything. You're smart. You're quick on the draw. And you figure out your buttons by now. You still aren't using the special effects I paid for it very often, and that bothers me.
Oh, you didn't buy a special effects box that just so happened to come with an audio thing. You bought a roadcast that just so happened to do this. You know, for all the praise that we're going to get when this finally takes off and we'll be billionaires.
Well, we're going to be billionaires, son, and we're going to be billionaires because we care about truth on Brad Stine Has Issues. We care about what is real. You know, when I was in Nebraska, I was joking around about the small town. I want you guys to understand something. The small towns are the backbone of America. I love going to small towns. Are you ready for this? I prefer small towns. If somebody says, "Hey, you can go to do a small town in Wakefield, Nebraska, or in Superior, Nebraska, and you'll have 300 people, 500 people there, and you're going to help this little ministry or help this church or help this thing," or you can go to Chicago, or you can go to St. Louis, and I don't have nothing against cities. I've been to every one of them. I've been in all 50 states. I've told you that many times. I've been in virtually probably every big city in the country I pretty much have been to. So I'm grateful that I've seen these things. Grateful for the big cities. They have a lot of cool things. But they are not. They are not what makes America great. It's Wakefield, Nebraska. It's Superior, Nebraska. It's Bremen, Indiana, where I was born. It's these smaller towns that still somehow aren't quite as infected by the woke virus. Now, believe it or not, it's gone everywhere. It is cancer. It has gone everywhere. Why do I say that? Some people think to me and they say, is it Christian to speak against wokeism, or should you be more tender to these folks? Well, all right, I'm going to do my best. Should you treat the wokies with respect? As a Christian, absolutely. As a non-Christian, no. Should I give them dignity? As a Christian, yeah, because they're made in the image of God. As a non-Christian, no, because they are violent and they want to take America into Marxism, whether they know it or not. Should I treat the wokies in the hopes that they repent like Nineveh and come to Christ? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, my existence in a ministry that I have become, God's Comic Ministry is the name of my ministry. It's a real ministry that I became. I didn't know my comedy would become a ministry. I just wanted to be a comedian that ministered every now and again. And God said, no, I got a whole different plan. So yeah, my purpose is to bring you to the one reality that is literally the most amazing story in human history. Jesus Christ, the Messiah predicted by the Israelites that showed up 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem. Folks, that's my purpose on earth. And I didn't know that my way of doing that with comedy was going to be a calling that is spiritually anointed. I didn't know that was it. I just thought I'm a Christian and I would just be that, but I'm a comic, and he's more and more making me not abandon my comedy. Certainly, it's what makes me unique, and certainly not abandon even my using that as a means to communicate. That's why he chose me to do it, because it's a unique way to tell God's story, and it allows it to somehow pass through the filters people put up about, I don't hear about God or Jesus or you're true and nobody else is. It's a way of kind of getting past that presuppositional editing that people do. We all do when we believe something. We edit out what we don't want to hear. And it allows that truth to get into them. So yeah, I need to treat them that way. Do I want to? No. Here's the beautiful thing about Christianity that you guys need to know if you're watching for the first time. Christianity is really always exposing your natural man. One thing that Christians understand, then you should understand, it will help you see the world, at least, if nothing else, understand why Christians see the world the way we do. We are sinners. We are intrinsically fallen. Now, you might think, well, that's a bad thing. Why not say everybody's really good on the inside and once in a while they make a mistake? Because it's a lie. It's easily provable from the get-go when a kid begins to grow. I have grandkids that are here, and I've got them from all ages. Here's what you need to simply ask yourself. Do you have to teach a 2-year-old to hit their brother or to not hit their brother? Now, they're 2. They don't have a lot of life experience to start assessing, how should I engage this issue where they just took my truck? What's the natural man? They hit because we're violent. We want our way. It's always about me. Anything I am uncomfortable with, anything I don't get that I want is mine and must be treated with violence if it's breached. You have to teach them how not to. Do I have to teach them to share, or do I have to teach them to hoard and be selfish? Gotta teach them to share. Do I have to teach them to listen to what mom and dad say? Don't do this, do that, clean your room, don't. Or do I have to teach them how not to listen and how to say, I don't want to do it, and run away and hide? Obviously, from the get-go, we are rebellious. It is the nature of man. You know, the founding fathers knew that. Do you know that the founding fathers, and this was during, Enlightenment period, they did listen to and read John Locke. They did listen and read different people of that era as to how to see and think and reason. And reason was a big part of what they believed. But the biggest influence on the founding fathers, when you read their letters and what they read and different things that they were inspired by when they made the Declaration and the Constitution, was the Bible. Now, that's simply true. Did they make a theocracy? No. Did they want to demand you had to be a Christian to be in America? No, they did not. But here's what's interesting, guys. Christianity teaches you don't force people to become Christians. It would say to you, and God did this from the very beginning, when he made Adam and Eve, I have given you everything you need to survive, to eat, to function. I've even given you ability to make other humans, yourself, and I will be perfectly leading, guiding you, and assisting you, because you have access to me right now in intimacy in the garden. I do make one rule. Don't eat those two things. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now, you might think to yourself, well, what kind of a God wouldn't want us to know the difference between the knowledge of good and evil? Well, he would want us to know that. He had already implied it by saying, don't eat that. He was already letting them understand, whether they realized it or not, that there are some limits to what they're allowed to do, and he would expect them to listen. Now, they didn't sit and analyze, if I do this and don't listen to him, it's immoral, or it's a sin. These words hadn't been invented yet. But the opportunity to disobey without understanding the gravity of what that meant was given to them from the beginning. Why? So that he could prove this relationship between God and man is authentic, and it is able to be chosen to engage in or to disband, to disbelieve, or to decide to become God yourself. This was the question from day one. I'm God. I'm here. I provide everything you need, but I do set some restrictions because I make the final rules. Or you can breach this covenant and you can decide to worship your will, your desires, your morality that you create in your own mind. He put people to work, by the way, right off the bat. Before there was sin, before there was weeds, God still said, go and take dominion and name the animals and tend to the garden and make other children procreate and raise them properly and learn to listen to me and all this and that. You work. God from the beginning said, you work or you don't eat. You work or you are on charity. I'm not a charity. I've given you a partnership with me. That's how Christians apply to even things like illegal immigration. People say, I thought you Christians were supposed to love the immigrant and the other. We are, and we should be kind to them and be respectful to them. Of course, that is a Christian idea, by the way. And by the way, a Christian idea, not an atheist idea. Atheists have no ideas. They steal every moral, ethical, virtuous idea from Christians and then pretend that we don't need God to get there, which is interesting. That's exactly what Adam and Eve did. They had access to everything they needed. It was already provided for them. And then he said, don't do that. And they decided, we'll go ahead and decide to do it ourselves. We don't need God to decide what is good and bad. We'll worship ourselves. It's by the way, the original sin. It actually, there was a precedent for this. It happened in heaven when Satan said, I will be God. Started the whole action. Then he said, I wonder if I can get God's creation to join me. And they did. And here we sit thousands of years later, trying to wonder why there's sin and cancer and death and children and everything else. We brought it upon ourselves. We allowed the enemy to prove what he does when he's given power, which is interesting because when atheists are given power, communism is given moral action, moral absolutes, moral the moral decisions made by atheists is based on how they choose to do things, taking control of everything, choosing who gets to live, who gets to die, who gets to disagree with them, who doesn't, how you have to work, what we're going to give you. They worship themselves. By the way, they're self-elite. They choose themselves. I'll run the show. We're going to eat meat. We're going to live in mansions. The rest of you will just be like herd cattle that we're going to run through and make you do. That's what socialism is. Just give us what we want, and we will worship the state. Just make sure you feed us and give us access to education and medicine, and we'll do whatever you say, master. So it's a self-imposed loss of liberty. You give it away. You become a slave, thinking you'll be safe because safety is more important to you than success. Safety is more important to you than the dignity of self-work and self-reliance. And safety is more important than abandoning covetousness. And covetousness is simply saying what you have, if it's more than me, I want. And I want to take it from you. Not just get my own, which is what conservatism and Christianity would expect. Try to take what you got and double it. Here's 5 values. Go get 5 more. Here's 3 talents. Go get 3 more. Here's 1. Go get 1. Every time God showed from the get-go, there's a different level that certain people will have. Some people are going to have more riches than others. Some are going to have less. But he said you can still be great. You can still be at peace. You can still survive. And take what you got and double it. Don't covet what somebody else has. And that's what socialism is. Well, there's a new mayor in New York who is a socialist, and they voted for him. I'm grateful that he won. I'm grateful for he won because now we're going to see socialism in action in, I think, the biggest city in the United States. I simply believe that if you sow to the wind, you reap a whirlwind. And so I have to honestly say that I'm glad it happened because I want everyone to see in real time what happens to a city that chooses atheistic-driven Marxist socialism. I want you to see what's going to happen. You're going to see. And here's what's going to be even more fascinating. As it deteriorates, and New York is going to deteriorate, as it begins to collapse on itself, as people leave that have succeeded and are being punished for it, as people are hurt, raped, killed, murdered, and no one is given a sentence for that. When you see what's about to happen, I'm making a prediction, we'll see in 4 years. If I'm wrong and it becomes a utopia, I'll admit it. But it's not because it doesn't work. I want you to feel the full weight of your decision so you can see it costs you to make dumb calls. But here's the thing. I want us as a nation to also look at what happens when people who are progressives, and this is so important if you're a Christ follower. Brad Stine Has Issues is about trying to teach you to think Christ-like so that you can become someone who actually sees the world in reality for what it really is and how it really behaves. And I want you to see that. And so here's the thing. I want you to watch what happens when the people that voted for this Mamdani guy, and if things start going sideways, you're going to watch them make excuses for it. Have you ever seen any of the progressives, and remember, it's a religion, you must understand it's a secular, cultic religion. They've gotten rid of God. They replaced him with worship of self and the state as God. This is true. It's simply history. It's not my opinion. It's not my point of view. It's the truth. Okay? So, here's the deal. Watch them make excuses. Watch them not admit when things are going sideways. They're going to make excuses for it. They're going to pretend they don't see it because they can't come to grips with the fact that they have chosen a lie. They've chosen the wrong religion. They've abandoned God, and now they're paying for it, and they don't want to take responsibility for it. Hey, look what this girl did that you gave me. Look what Eve did. She ate this apple and gave it to me. What did you do, girl? Well, it was this serpent. Look what he did. I had nothing to do with that. I'm doing great. Watch the game play out over and over again. It's never, ever changed, folks. I don't care what philosophy's in power, what monarch's in power, conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican, don't matter. It's all a game. It's all a facade. It's all a mask to reveal the original sin, pride. Either you believe in God or you are God, and it always ends up in truth or lies, and then you pay the price. It's just the way things work. You know, I got to tell you something. I am very excited about this guest, Victoria Robinson, because she speaks about life. And God gave us life from nothing. And when he did that, it started this process of us having a partnership with the transcendent. We're material, but we have a soul. So he imparted that. He breathed life into his nostrils. He became a living soul. So we are both spirit and body, dualists. And so God's up there, and he gave us the ability to think and reason and try to get closer to him and retrieve him, because he had to separate because we brought in sin. And so life was really the first thing he did, right? He said, let there be light. Well, that's life of photons and neutrons or whatever. What is light? Is it just photons? Is it waves? Is it particles? Is it asparagus? I don't remember.
Everything with the asparagus is what light is. It's particle and wave. It can't make up its mind.
Photons and...
Photons are what carry light, yes.
Is there a neutron involved in that?
Neutrons are part of an atom.
Oh, okay. So I'm wrong. Unless light has atoms.
No, it does not.
Why not?
Well, because if it had any atoms, it would have mass.
Oh.
And objects that have mass cannot move at the speed of light. And the speed of light can move at the speed of light.
Okay, that makes sense. So in evening, we call it Eve. So would that mean that when atoms reach the Eve, it's Adams and Eve?
You're thinking a bit too hard.
All right, never mind.
It's just physics.
I'll work on that. I'll work on that.
It's just physics.
I thought maybe it was the way that physics were trying to steal the Adam and Eve story by calling it Adams.
You know what? I guarantee you there was a conspiracy somewhere about that.
Well,
we should ask.
We'll ask your mom.
Our resident expert on that.
Well, we're going to bring in conspiracy theory here soon to be part of the Brett's and Has issue.
Is that going to be like New Year's resolution for next year?
Yes, for sure. See, you got to understand something, guys. I have seen God lead me in my ministry into going deeper and deeper and deeper. Not only my live events, and if you are a church or a conservative group or any group that just believes in truth, I do live events. 2026 is already being booked all over the place. If you see on my website, Brad's Son Has Issues, to my tour page, that I'm going to be in let's say Wisconsin, and you are a church in Wisconsin, you see, he's going to be in Green Bay, and I'm going to be there, I think, in April or something. You can be maybe in Madison or some Appleton, whatever, and say, hey, come over here. Will you come and book us? And that's a great way for to do it. I can also sometimes give you a better rate or a discount if you're a smaller church, because I'm in the area, and I want to build that. I want to have tours where I bring the comedy with the hope of inspiring the church to discipleship. That's what God's called me to do, and I do it through this as well. We're going to really do a campaign as we get towards the end of the year to raise funds for my ministry. I need to be able to pay a full-time editor, producer, creator, and it's my son. He's been paid a pittance and has dedicated himself to this. He deserves more. He needs more, just financially, but also just to allow him to do even more extra material we're going to put out into the internet in my ministry, as well as allowing me to go do shows for churches at a lower rate that is difficult for me unless I have an income source from people that see me as a missionary to America and help donate, and it helps me do other churches. So we're all working together as a body. It's what it's supposed to do from the get-go. But one of the things that I want to show you is that we want to grow the sophistication of this podcast. And again, it's adding more content. I'm still letting God teach me and figure it out. And what we've decided is what we think might be the best way to do it is whenever the guest has a particular topical aspect, we're going to try to draw information and insight about that topic in the podcast before we get to the guest. This one's about life, pro-life, right? So I found a great comic, Louis C.K. You know who he is. He's a secular comic, so we might have to bleep out some words. I'm not sure. That'll be up to my editor, Wyatt, to figure out. But he did a thing about pro-life. And so because commentary videos are very popular, I've never been a populist. If I see everybody's wearing a mustache, I won't do it. If everybody's doing long hair, I'll go short. I've always been that way. But, you know, you can't defeat what's working. If people like people that they enjoy or find they respect them, like me or whomever, to commentate on something and they want to see that, then I'm going to jump in. So I decided let's do a commentary video to add to the podcast. We're going to show it tonight as a debut, but there'll be many, many more of these to come to, I hope, enhance the podcast. This is Louis C.K. talking about abortion. So it's like, well, let's see what happens if he's got some insight or something we can tease apart as Christians, because I want you who watch and listen to this show to be able to go as warriors into the marketplace of ideas and show what Christianity is, to be able to overcome the objections of those who do not believe Jesus is Messiah. That's your job. That's your purpose. And in America, boy, do we need warriors. We don't need Christians anymore in America. We need disciples. So this is my commentary video with Louis C.K. about abortion. Tell me in the comments below what you think. Well, hey, it's God's Comic Brad Stine, and we will be doing some commentary because this week we have Victoria Robinson talking about pro-life, even her ability to help people who have gone through the trauma, and especially men, which you don't hear a lot of, the trauma of abortion. And so I thought it might be a great time for me as a comic to show the power of comedy regarding pro-life. So this would be considered a segment of Brad Stine Has Issues podcast. Hope you're watching it, subscribing, and hitting notification on YouTube. But also, we could consider this your daily truth ache. Let's find out. It's Louis C.K.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, you know, I think abortion is,
So, again, comic to comic, what happened? Thank you. It's always the weird thing when you first start doing your first set, when you're coming up to perform for an audience, unless you're famous and they've come to see you and they're just ecstatic that you're on stage, you kind of have to win them over. And I do a lot of fundraisers for pro-life centers or pregnancy resource centers. Well, these people don't necessarily know. A lot of them do, but a lot of them don't know who I am. So you have to kind of initially, as a comic, establish your vibe, your energy. What are you going to talk about? What's your style going to be like? But one of the great things about comedy, and it's why I'm so adamant about saving free speech, is because it allows us to go to the dark places and unravel them a little bit in a way that allows you permission to go to deep places, dark places, scary places, places of great friction, of great dissension amongst people, and find a way for us to come together. Comedy, laughter, lets people come together. So even if you're a left and a right, but you find something you both laugh at, it found an equilibrium. Comedy is great like that. So he starts off with saying, hey, thank you so much. Anyways, abortion. Boom. That's the punchline. They know, wait a minute, way too sensitive an issue. There's nothing funny here. That's the beauty of comedy. We find funny not only where nobody else does, where it's not supposed to be. Let's find out what he has to say about abortion.
Here's what I think. This is what I think.
I want you to notice just the subtlety there. Remember, this is a crowd that is fans of Louis C.K. Thus, he doesn't really have to prove that he's going to be funny. They already kind of know that this guy pushes envelopes. So, but he also kind of lightened it with the way he spoke. Well, here's what I think. Here's what I think. He's kind of playing like he's a teenage girl or something. So again, making us able to go into this dangerous territory, but we feel safe because you're going to keep it in a way that we can endure it. You're already adding sugar to the medicine.
Here's what I think. I think you should not get an abortion unless you need one. In which case, you better get one. I mean, seriously. If you need an abortion, you better get one. Don't around. And hurry. That's not getting an abortion that you need is like not taking a. That's how bad that is. It's like not taking a.
Okay, so what happens is he's trying to get us into the space about abortion, and he's also trying to find a way for people to relate to it. So he's talking about taking a dump. Of course, he didn't use that word, but he's kind of saying like, this is something you kind of have to do. You better get it over with. So again, he's kind of treading on dangerous waters. Now, my guess is most people watching him are progressives. They probably are pro-abortion. So he didn't have to sell him on this, but he's also trying to, I guess, just find a way to jump into this space and not make it feel like something dangerous or destructive or moral is going to be dealt with, because that's the last thing you want to deal with is morality if you are looking at abortion, because suddenly then you are responsible for your choices.
That's what I think. I think abortion is exactly like taking a shit. I think it is 100% the exact same thing as taking a shit. Or it isn't. It isn't. It's either taking a shit or it's killing a baby. It's only one of those two things. It's no other things.
So in some subtle way, what he's doing here is he's just making it simple and easy. And we're laughing. Why? Because he's talking about, taking a dump. Well, I mean, that's making people uncomfortable to a degree. It's a scatological term, so maybe that's bringing some laughter. But he's also showing this complete imbalance. I think in some odd way, subconsciously, he's saying, you know what, abortion is a bigger deal than this. But he acts like, nah, it's the same, right? And everybody knows intuitively, no, it's kind of not even the same. There's the humor. It's tension that we all know isn't true, so we're really now starting to anticipate, where are you going to go with this?
So if you didn't like hearing that it's like taking a shit, you think it's killing a baby. That's the only other one you get to have. Which means you should be holding a sign in front of the place. People hate abortion protesters. They're so shrill and awful. They think babies are being murdered. What are they supposed to?
Interesting, there goes, well, they're so shrill or whatever. They think babies are being murdered, and there's laughter. Are they laughing because, yeah, how ludicrous. Obviously, they're not killing babies. No, they know. It's kind of like people are literally being brought to full disclosure about what they are allowing themselves to get away with, which is killing babies and somehow justifying it. So it's almost like a relief laughter of going, yeah, I guess it is, but we've kind of tried to overlook that all this time. So he's given them kind of permission to laugh at their inconsistency and their hypocrisy.
Supposed to be like, I don't know, it's not cool. I don't want to be a about it, though. I don't want to ruin their day as they murder several babies all the time. I don't think it's killing a baby. I don't. I mean, it is. It's a little bit. It's a little bit killing a baby. It's a little bit. It's 100% killing a baby. It is. It's totally killing a whole baby.
Now again, think about this. Do you think the people in that crowd are laughing because they want to kill babies? that these people would go to an arena like the Romans used to set up and watch babies put out there where people are shooting them. No, nobody would want that. So it's kind of like they are acknowledging, yeah, what do we do with this? It's kind of like maybe we can't continue to fool ourselves. We have to accept what this actually is and just kind of say, but whatever. I saw Bill Maher on one of his shows say, you know what? The reason the pro-life people are concerned is because they feel like it's killing a baby. And the truth is, it is. He actually said, I think it's kind of is. No, it is. Obviously, it's killing a baby. He said, but you know what? I'm okay with that. There's too many people in the world. Now, nobody laughed because he's a commentator. They expect this to be more serious, and suddenly they can't hide behind the laughter to get away with this hypocrisy and this terrible perspective of killing babies. Who wants to be on that side of history? So comedy allows you to kind of go there, reveal yourself, kind of admit, I'm kind of a baby killer. And somehow it's not, the gravity of it isn't as powerful. What an interesting thing comedy can do. For good or evil, comedy can allow us to go there and somehow justify it. Huh?
But I think that women should be allowed to kill babies. That's what I think. They should be allowed to kill babies. Yeah.
I think women should be allowed to kill babies. And they cheered. Yes, shouldn't we? Clearly, they are disconnected from what he's actually saying because it's in a comedy sense. They feel like it's somehow not serious or somehow it's okay. You're agreeing that killing this baby is okay, so let's admit it. We're killing a baby, but it's okay because we're women and women have that right. I don't think in a real situation where a baby was about to be killed and they asked those women, is it okay we do this, that they would say yes. I don't think most of them would. Again, this is them and how comedy is helping them deal with and navigate this immoral act and make it okay for themselves. So again, interesting what comedy can do to help people advocate for or accept their point of view when it shouldn't feel normal.
Kill babies! Do some shots and kill some babies. I killed like 4 babies last night. It was I just think it has to be one or the other. You know, like when people say abortion should be legal, safe, and rare. Why rare if it should be legal? If it should be legal, it's If it should be rare, it's murdering babies. But again, women should be, because 2 reasons I think women should be allowed to kill babies. Number 1, I don't think life is that important. It's just not. It is not.
They're only laughing because he's being sarcastic.
People get too excited about life. Oh, life. You. It's not that. It's. Make a list of every thing ever that's in life. Life is okay. I like life. I like it. I don't need it. I'd be fine without it. I like life, though. I do. You know how much I like life? I have never killed myself. That's how much I like it. That's exactly how much I like it, with a razor-thin margin. I like it precisely enough to not kill myself. It's an option, though. It's totally an option. I mean, I'm 49. I have 2 kids. I've flipped through the brochure a few times. I've thought of killing myself just to win an argument. You're not supposed to talk about suicide, even to your shrink. Of suicide, and you're like, no, because if I say yes, you'll press a button and folks will run in and hold him down.
Well, now he's moving out of abortion into suicide. And so, again, a very, very heavy subject. I think what's interesting about this is if you think about the arguments for abortion, you'll hear this a lot. The government shouldn't be allowed to tell a woman what she can do with her body. Did you know that you're not supposed to be allowed to kill yourself, right? Matter of fact, if you go to kill yourself, they will go and get you, like you said, mental help, mental evaluation. Matter of fact, if they arrest somebody, they put them in a special ward, suicide watch, so the people don't kill themselves, because we honor life. We don't want you to kill yourself. You're in distress, and so you're going to make a rash decision that is life-changing, literally, and it lasts forever. Once you're dead, you're gone. So fascinating that suicide, the death of one's own body, is considered immoral, and we should protect you from yourself. But if you wanted to kill your baby, it's my body. I should be able to do what I want. It's my body. I should be able to do what I want, so I'm going to kill myself. No, we're not going to let you kill yourself. You're going to regret it. It's going to be so terrible and psychologically damaging to all your family and friends. No. We will protect you from yourself. It's my body. I don't want anybody to tell me what to do with it. I'm going to kill this baby. Oh, sure, of course. Now, the baby might be going, you know what, can I have a say in this? Any shot that I could participate in this decision, since it isn't really your body? It happens to be my body, but I happen to be stuck in your body. So any shot that you could at least invent a baby translator that allows you to interview the baby and ask them their thoughts. Hey, is it okay if your mom kills you? Because my guess is they're going to go, which means no, please don't. But interestingly enough, if your body is yours and the body inside of yours, you have access to eliminate it, but you also want the right to kill yourself, and you are pregnant, you would be killing the baby too. So no matter where the baby turns, as long as the baby is in your womb, you have all the power to keep it alive or to allow it to die. Now, nowhere in human history when we have come up with the conclusion that if you kill somebody, you don't deserve to live. God said that, by the way. It's not something we made up. God said if you take blood, blood will be required of you. God created capital punishment. So I think it's interesting and fascinating that we are now looking at this debate of abortion, which people always knew was killing a baby. We just have to justify, how do we get away with this? Why are we allowed to do this? How can you make this moral? And we know it's inconsistent. For example, if a woman is pregnant and somebody murders her and the baby dies, they're charged with 2 homicides, 2 murders. Well, why, if the baby wasn't really there? And so it always ends up in this very abstract idea that cannot be justified. And what is that? That women have the right to kill the baby, but no one else has that authority. If a man says you must kill the baby in your womb, he don't have a right to do that. But if a woman says, I want to kill it, she does. How is that fair? How is that equitable? How is it moral? It's not. But it is inconvenient to have a baby. Matter of fact, if you're married and want a baby and finally have a baby, guess what? Once it's born, it's inconvenient. Having another human you have to watch over is inconvenient. It's as selfless as it gets. That's why I think so many women are unhappy in this new modern, postmodern world, because they've been told that to be a mother and a wife is not enough. It's somehow you're being a patriarchal, the patriarchy is destroying you and stripping away the real important thing you were called for, which was to be a CEO. So they don't understand that there is nothing more beautiful. There is nothing more important. There is nothing more sacred. There's nothing more holy. There's nothing more fulfilling than to have children and to raise them and to love them and to keep them safe and teach them about the ways of the world. It's the most beautiful thing. God said this, by the way, go forth and multiply, procreate, make more of you. And I'm giving you the sacred ability to actually make another human. This is another problem, of course, when it looks at abortion, is the man has no say. It's like, hey, if you don't have a womb, you don't get a say in abortion. I said, well, wait a minute. If it wasn't for a man, there'd be no baby in the womb to talk about. So there is no discussion about abortion unless a man exists to make you pregnant. So I literally have exactly 50% of the behavior involved that allowed this human to exist. Today's episode on Brad Stine Has Issues, and if you don't watch Brad Stine Has Issues, jump in. Go to Life Audio, Spotify, or Apple Tunes, and you can watch. Also go to Brad Stine Has Issues. Please subscribe. We laugh. We also talk about serious things like this, and then we bring on guests. So it is kind of a hybrid, kind of fun show, comedy show, plus Christian ethics, virtues, apologetics, and then a wonderful guest. So it is a one-of-a-kind podcast out there. Brad Stine Has Issues. And this is what we're doing today. Victoria Robinson will be discussing that. She had an abortion, and she's regretted it her whole life. She's had many children since, and she's got an amazing story to tell. But now she advocates for life and protects it. So, folks, I'm talking to you as a comic, giving you a perspective of how comedy works, how it works even in something this incredibly dangerous, the topic of abortion, how we are allowed to get away with it, and how we actually, even somebody who's probably pro-choice, like Louis C.K., can still have the courage to see the problem with it, the hypocrisy with it, and maybe, just maybe, the moral implications that the left has simply wanted to avoid. So, I hope you've enjoyed this. We're going to be a lot more coming. I'm looking to help you, help me grow my ministry, and that's how we're going to do it, by little truth aches like this. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks. So, as I said to you guys, I wanted to see if I could add other elements of this. Now, as I said, we're going to be adding more details, more clips, more things about what it means to for my ministry to grow. We are going to have a campaign to try to help at least make it possible for people who want to give to my ministry. People give all the time. They give to missionaries. They give to churches. They give, and God bless them. Keep doing it. I realize I got to do this for myself. I cannot keep doing it without getting help because it's expensive, and I never, all the money comes out of my own work that I go do, and I realize God will supply this. He's called me to do this. He will bring people in who believe that what I do, the unique way I tell the God's story as a comic and as a commentator, they want to support it. It's no big deal. You get to write it off like anything else because it's tax deductible, because it is about driving people to Jesus, not driving people to merchandise. Though I'll have merchandise. I hope I have some fun retro. I'll go back and get back to my retro T-shirts that I still have left that you might want. We'll have new things. Again, we're just trying to grow it. And for those who've watched over the years, thank you. You see what's coming. I hope you want to help us. I hope we help share. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Like and subscribe on Brad Stine Has Issues. Hit that notification button. Do it on my Facebook page. Just follow it. And we will grow this ministry. We are on task. We don't want to be angry. I don't want to be something where it's all about clickbait and let's just be mad at everybody and anybody I disagree with. That's not Christ-likeness. But, oh, was there a time when Jesus himself had to tip tables over? And that's what I think I do. I think it's my calling as a prophetic voice to the church. I always say that because God created in the Bible certain gifts. There are the gift of teaching, the gift of prophecy, the gift of interpretation, the gift of pastors, right? And so I believe that I have a gift of the prophetic voice, meaning I say these hard things about the church and where it goes and where it needs to go to help pastors who are trying to navigate their people through that, but they have to be much more careful, much more sensitive, because there's such babies out there in the church is made up mainly of babies. And I'm not being insulting. I'm giving you actual facts. The Bible says you shouldn't be drinking milk right now, and you still are. Bible said it 2,000 years ago. Eat meat, grow up, get rid of the bottle. And yet here they are. So these poor pastors have such a kind countenance. It's the hardest calling to me is being a pastor, because they're always being criticized. ostracized, and I want to lift them up, and I want to support them, and I want to go into these smaller churches and help them too, and they don't have any money, and I say, well, I can do this if I get support from outside this, the community of believers. I can afford it and take out of their support and come to you and give you a deal so that you can do something special too. So that's where we're going. That's what's going to happen. You're going to see more and more preparing for a campaign to help try to drive next year's budget through a campaign, and we'll see what happens. We'll see. If it works, if people give, if it grows, then I'll know that I'm on to something and God is directing me. And if it doesn't, then I'll have to reevaluate. Well, God, I don't want to be presumptuous. Maybe this isn't the way to go. But I've prayed and I've thought about it, and I said, my comedy is what I'm known for. It's what I'm most famous for. It's what people want to see and most enjoy. My comedy clips that are on YouTube and so forth get the most views. Some have gotten millions. So that's what I'm known for. But this is what I feel I'm longed for, that I'm destined for, and that is to try to teach you worldview, how to think like a Christian, how to do the thing that I do it. Now, I can do it with humor. That's my way, and I hope I do it with some unique voices, some unique sophistication, a different way to approach it that just makes it fun and intriguing and something you can show to your non-believing friends in the hope that what I believe is, in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, a third great awakening. A third great awakening of voices that bring people back to the Bible, back to the Word of God, back to the spiritual, back to Christ, not some kind of esoteric, I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. Well, you know what? Get religious. Get committed to Jesus. And redefine it, not as some kind of legalistic, judgmental, dogmatic approach to God, but this beautiful tapestry of people from all over the world with different ethnicities, different cultures, different ideas, coming together with this one idea. God is one. He is one. And we are all his children, which means we're all related. And it truly gives an opportunity for us to be one and not hate each other because we have different skin colors or whatever. We are a human race, and that's it. That's all there is. There is no class system. There is no gender system. There is no identifying as anything other than a child of God. That's what it means to be a believer. And that's what I want this podcast and my comedy show to do. The show, The God Experience, that also has sleight of hand from my old life as a magician, combines philosophy with that. I do that at churches. It's blowing up, guys. Churches are bringing me in. 2026 is already getting booked because this is my call and it is my purpose and as long as God allows me to live and as long as he keeps me around, I'm valuable to him. I have a purpose for him. And then when I go home, I'm done. I did my best. Oh, I will regret much that I failed, I promise. I will regret much of the casual compromise I allowed in my life every day. But there'll be a couple trinkets. There'll be a couple trinkets that I can give to God and say, thank you, Jesus, for what you did for me, that made it available for me to be seen as righteous and walk into your kingdom fully, holy, and complete because of your work that you gave to me. So here's a couple things I did on earth. Thank you. Here's a couple crowns you gave me. It's all I got, but I'm grateful. That's what I want you to be. I want you to be grateful that if you're listening or watching this right now, you have life. You are alive, and God wanted you to be here. You're important. You have a job. You have a Nineveh you're called to. And I want this website, this podcast, this live events, my ministry, to help you get there. Just assist you, along with your pastor and your family and your friends and whomever else God brings into your life to help you get closer to Christ. And he will change you into that thing, but you have to be committed to being a disciple. And that means you got to be ready to die for God. Don't worry. On the other side, you live forever. The victory is won. The chapter is complete, and it is stunning. But you got work to do while you're here. And that means standing up for what is true, what is right, and what is important. And one of those things, maybe one of the most important things, is the evil that this country has propagated with abortion. And What we don't hear is the destruction, mentally, emotionally, and physically, that so many have endured because of it. They're never going to be taught that. They want these dead babies to be sacrificed to the Babylonian gods and Satan. And we want to take it back. And as believers and truth tellers, as Christians, it's our job. One of those advocates, one of those warriors is Victoria Robinson. Like as I said, she was one of my first guests. She's a wonderful woman. She's got an incredible ministry. And I want you to support her, watch her, and see what she's up to. And if you are a victim of abortion, woman or man, and you're struggling with it, she can help you get through that. That's what her ministry is. So you're going to enjoy her story. You're going to enjoy what she's up to. And you're also going to enjoy what she can provide for you, that God can give to you to actually finally get you free from your struggle. If this is a world that you inhabited, abortion in some way, and it's cost you so much, there's a way out. There's freedom. And it's going to be here right here tonight. So please enjoy, with God's Comic Brad Stine, this wonderful remembrance of one of my original guests, and where she's at, and where she's going, and where she can bring you alongside. Please enjoy this conversation with Victoria Robinson. You know, folks, when Brad Stine Has Issues started a couple, 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago now, I didn't know what it was going to become. And even now, as we tape this, September 17th, 2025, and I'm watermarking that for a reason, I'm still developing and evolving what this is going to be and what I want it to do to help people and inspire people. And with some recent events that, again, as I tape this, but that's why I mentioned September 17, 2025, that we won't forget in history, but it's very raw right now. It even makes it more specific and more vigilant why I'm doing what I do. And it's a lot more than people expect from a comedian, but you know, that's what God does. He chooses who he chooses, and all you can do is go along for the ride and hopefully commit yourself to what God has asked you to do. It's a big, hard thing to do. And if it's not hard, you're not doing it right. Let me explain to you something. The person I'm bringing on here today is one of my first guests. I think she came on a couple, 2 or 3 years ago and wasn't in studio. And she's here now. She has been an amazing pro-life advocate by sharing a story that's very personal and painful. She's healed many, many people and probably, well, I'm sure, saved many, many human beings' lives because of sharing her story. So that's what's beautiful about redemption, is it has a payoff that is beyond anything we could have imagined. But she's here now, and she also is part of Reassemble Life, I believe is her ministry, and has numerous retreats helping men and women recover from abortion, regret, and just the psychological damage it does. And we're going to talk about that because nobody understands how hard and deep it is. But I'm so grateful. She's an old friend, and now she's here with me again, this time in studio, and full circle 3 years later. Welcome, Victoria Robinson. Hello.
Hello there. Good to see you.
How are you, dear?
I don't like that old friend thing. I'm your old friend because of years, but not your old friend.
Yes. What I meant by old is in dog years is
Yes,
what I meant.
there you go. I like
it's only 1 year
That's
old,
right.
but in dog years, it gives the illusion of it being much, much older. Well, you know, Victoria, when I first met you many years ago, do you remember when we first met?
Sort of, kind of. I know it wasn't at a Puffy Muffin.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
The first
I know
time
we
we
had
were
lunch there.
Yeah?
At Puffy Muffin.
Well, that was after the initial meeting when we got to know each other. And you'll remember as soon as I bring it up, Variety magazine had a gathering for a movie that I was involved in called Persecuted.
Yes, I remember.
And Daniel Lusko. Matter of fact, they just had the 10-year anniversary of Persecuted, and I was just in Albuquerque where we shot it. They showed it again, and he's partnering with another ministry to help get funding for a new movie on John Newton, the slave trader who wrote Amazing Grace.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's going to be cool. But anyways,
well, let me say this. The reason I probably don't remember that is because when we really got to know each other in our hearts and talked about ministry and God and our love for Jesus, it was at the Puffy Muffin
Yeah.
in Brentwood.
That's for sure.
So that's probably why that.
But you
means
were
more
with
to me.
Colby, I'm pretty sure, because
Yeah,
I think you
I
guys
think
were doing
so.
a reality show at
We
that
were.
time or something. Yeah.
That was when my youngest daughter. That's correct.
Yeah, and my daughter was a big fan of your show and loved your daughter. I don't know if they've ever met, but so lots of things transpired in my life and her life and your life that have caused some of us to have a synergy and a connection. Not always what we would have chosen, but worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it. You know what I've learned, Victoria? You only grow from pain, not pleasure.
That's the truth.
And
I've had plenty.
well, every time we get chipped away, every time God digs his fingers into that clay, it hurts.
Yeah.
And it feels wrong. And it feels like we're being punished or abandoned. And instead he's saying, no, I'm creating what I meant you to be all along. But man, it hurts.
It does hurt. But you're right. He takes everything that the enemy might mean for evil and turns it into good. And he works together all things for those who love him.
Yes.
For good. And so I am very thankful for that.
Yes.
Because he's done it in my own life. It doesn't mean we're immune from pain just because we serve Jesus.
No.
You know,
it's the opposite.
It is.
It's the opposite. People forget, and this is what's really you heard my introduction, and again, you were there in the beginning. Well, most people know me as a comedian, but I've always used Christian worldview as social commentary in my show. It's what made me unique. I still think I'm the only Christian comic in the world that does that. Not knowing it is because I was called to ministry. I was called to be a prophetic voice to the church. Victoria, I didn't know that when I just knew I had something I had to say and I couldn't not say it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
Because
does.
that's when I knew it was an anointing.
Right.
When your mind's saying, maybe you shouldn't say this. And I said, I have to say this. Well, what is that? Because God says, I'm using you as a mouthpiece. And so, yeah, you'll do exactly as I ask.
Right. And the joy comes from the Lord. So your job is so important, Brad. You make people laugh, but you make them think. You shift paradigms with your comedy.
True.
And that's important.
Well, and the reason is, and I learned this, is that, we all have a presuppositional worldview. There's nobody goes into any dialogue, any monologue, any voting booth, any decision you're going to make in your life. Nobody goes there without some sense of foundational beliefs and things. Here's what I believe. Here's why I do what I do. Here's what I think is true. Here's what I think is good. Here's what I think is moral. Here's what I think is ethical. And you have to decide where you derive that from. And then you base your behavior on those ideas. If you're a person of integrity, hopefully you're living your life by, I don't care what it is, at least have the courage to live what you think is true.
Right.
But what you find is that it can also stunt your ability to grow because these filters that you see the world through, which can be very good and helpful, and guardrails,
Right.
can also keep you from new ideas, some revelation, some insight. It's called legalism and dogmatism.
Yeah.
And it can cause a lot of pain and unfortunately a lack of a revelation God's trying to bring your way because you're just kind of stuck in what you're comfortable in.
Right.
And I think to truly grow, you're constantly uncomfortable.
I tell Christians all the time, step out of the box, step out of that comfort box you're in. And I tell myself the same thing. When I felt the Lord was moving me in a direction of starting my own nonprofit after being a CEO of a nonprofit for over 2 decades, it was scary. And I thought, okay, I can run a nonprofit for someone else, but do I really want to start my own? And I had to do that. I had to step out. So I had all that knowledge and all that education from 20 plus years of running nonprofits. And here I was still questioning and doubting myself. And what I had to do was just take that step of faith and say, Lord, if this is you, you're going to open every door and you're going to make this happen. I don't want to force anything to happen. I want you to show me. And I can always go back and get another nonprofit job somewhere with my resume. I feel pretty confident.
Yeah.
But he did. He took it and ran with it. When I started Reassemble only 4 years ago, Brad, the first 6 months, I self-funded it. Because I knew that there were men, women, and couples who needed abortion trauma recovery that I've been already doing for 25 plus years.
Right.
And so that first 6 months, I was spending my money out of my own accounts and just going, okay, Lord, is it time now for me to get a job? Is it time for me to now go ahead and tap into those resources that I have? And I had an interview on a Tuesday morning from a nonprofit that was offering me a very nice job with the dental and health and everything. And I was going to accept it while I did Reassemble on the side. And the day before that interview, I got a phone call from my accountant. And he said, do you know Mr. and Mrs. XYZ? And I said, yes. Did you know they were sending you a donation? I said, well, they asked. They wanted to make an end of year donation. Did they tell you what it was for, how much it was? I said, of course not. I would never ask that. That's rude. And he told me, and I just wept. And I told him, I said, you don't understand. I was about to throw the towel in tomorrow morning. And now here's the Lord telling me, you don't need to worry about where funds come from. You don't need to worry about where the resources come from. I've set you on this path. Trust me. I've trusted him ever since, and he's been taking very good care of Reassemble and making sure that I know I'm in the lane I'm supposed to be in, which is full-time abortion trauma recovery.
You know, it's funny though, Victoria, and I've known so many people in ministry, obviously, over the years, and the odd and I don't know, riddle about the Christian walk is that you know you're called to something.
Right.
You know you're supposed to do something. It's from God. All right, God, I'm in. Yeah. You jump in. Okay, where's the money? Well, there's no money. Well, okay, but the building is no build. Well, but of course and it just feels counterintuitive. It's like, I know I'm doing what you've asked. And then you make it almost like questioning.
Right.
Am I even hearing from you? Because this doesn't make any sense. Why does he make it so hard to do the very thing he told you to do? That seems cruel.
But I tell you though, Brad, here's from, and everything you're saying is correct, but here I am, a single woman.
Yeah.
Who's just resigned from a job because I'm taking that step of faith and I'm believing this is the direction you're taking me. So for me, it was even, I didn't have a husband saying, hey, it's okay, babe. Just go ahead, get this going, however long it takes you. I'll pay the mortgage. I'll pay the car payments. I'll pay the insurance. It was me. So that was where, I'll tell you what happened with me in those 6 months is I kept taking that step of faith, but then questioning and doubting what you're saying. And I'm glad that he made me wait 6 months to show me I'm in this.
Yeah.
You just need to have faith and trust me.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, if the funds dried up in 6 months from now, I know that I'm called to do what I'm doing. I don't know how it would look then. It could look different, but there's no question in my mind. I've been called to do it for 28 years.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've learned when my career became a ministry. I didn't choose it. Just telling you right now, I wouldn't have chosen it. I would rather have been a comedian. It's funny. It's prestigious, right? It's something I enjoy doing. Very few people enjoy their job, let alone get paid for it. And it would have been much easier to be funny, throw God a bone every now and again, say a little God thing to every again, just let him know how much I'm thinking about him while,
throw God a bone.
And I didn't know that the key is this, and every Christian needs to understand this, because every Christian has a calling. They have a gift thing. They have a sphere of influence.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what it is. There's no comparison. Well, I'm only a factory worker.
Right.
Well, that's your sphere of influence. Those people are there
that's
that need
a mission
you.
Field.
Right. Yeah. But we don't. We're humans, and we go, yeah, but you're up on stage. That's better.
Yeah.
Oh, you're richer. That's better. Right. Obviously, God's anointing you. Could look at all the provisions. And of course, it's not true. And it's easy to say when you're the one that's a little bit higher on the totem pole. Yeah. It is easier to look down at the poor guy that's, with his little church he's been struggling with. He's bivocational. He has 12 people. And you'd think the guy would say, I want to give up, but they don't because they go, no, I know I'm supposed to do this. So the key was that I learned is you have to follow the call, not the results.
Oh, yeah.
Because the call is why you're here. The results follow.
100%.
You start following the results first. You start thinking in your own head. You start making decisions that sound pragmatic and prudent. but not of God. God's like going, I told you to follow me. And he's way back there going, anytime you want to stop, let me get ahead of you. Because I love that you're moving, but you're not paying attention to where I need you to go.
The ministry, the money follows the ministry.
Yeah.
Is exactly what you're saying. All of that. The money will fall. And of course, we need money to do anything.
Yeah.
Churches need money to run. So the ministry follows, the money follows the ministry, which is what I've learned. This is the first time I had ever started my own nonprofit.
Yeah.
I walked into nonprofits and became the director or the CEO. This was the first time I felt, okay, I'm taking a step of faith, Lord, as this, single woman, and I'm walking out and I'm going to walk this out. After 6 months, I started going, oh gosh, everything's drying up. Lord, are you sure did I miss something?
Right.
Did I miss something? But I'll tell you what happened for me in that time was a gift. It was a gift that he gave me to show me, I will always meet your needs.
But how else can you know that unless
you can't till you go through
tricky.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And boy, I went through it. And
well, let me ask you this, because you've brought this up a couple times. So I wonder if there's something interesting here to untease. I'm a single woman. You've said that a few times now. So there's something implied in that. I'm not sure what it is. I don't think you're saying, women needs men to survive. Clearly not. But it does sound like I'm trying to figure this out. I don't want to put words in your mouth. No. But I wonder, do you think that either in ministry and whatnot, that maybe sometimes women, there could be a certain challenge because there's always that idea of, well, where is women's role in ministry? Are you supposed to be taking sort of this leadership? Right. It's a tricky, because we have the idea of women should be teaching and people have different opinions on that. But what do you mean by there was no man? I mean, do you feel like men somehow can offer things to women that helps them feel more balanced? They are bringing in the spiritual realm, strength, security, power. I'm watching over you, and you didn't have it. I don't even know if I know what I'm asking you.
Okay, I think I do.
Okay.
First of all, I'm pro men. Yeah. And I'm pro-marriage.
And I didn't assume, I wasn't presuming you weren't.
I know, but I want to just make
But
sure
it was interesting that you kept saying that.
But here's what I'll say about what that means for a woman who's a single woman. Constantly, the Lord is going to teach us as single Christian women, especially those of us who are running ministries or, I'm not a pastor of a church. I don't have a degree in therapy, but I have a gift to help people go from feeling like God hates them because they had an abortion to bringing them to a place of accepting that he loves them and forgives all sin, including abortion. Yeah. And I want to help them walk that journey in my retreats, which are about 3.5 days, and taking their identity from being in their abortion into being in Christ, because that changes everything. But the reason I say that probably is because of this. When you're a single woman, there's other fears that a woman who has a husband who's there taking care of her, protecting her, providing for her, does not have. But it's a constant reminder as I've walked through my life being single for a long time that I do have. I know some people think it's weird. You call Jesus your husband? No, I don't really do that. But I have a man who's looking over me, and it's my father. And when I called my friend to tell her what happened with that donation, and I said to her, "Oh my gosh, I thought for sure I needed to go get a job and then build Reassemble on the side because, I don't have the husband. You've got the husband that tells you you can keep doing your ministry. You don't have to worry about whether someone puts money in the offering plate or sends a donation." And here's what she said to me that wrecked me a little bit. And it was a good spiritual spanking, Brad. She goes, sounds to me like you do have a husband who provided because he sent you a big check to make sure Reassemble continued. And I was like, oh my gosh, that I needed to hear that. Yeah. So I bring that up probably because I want people to understand even single women need to walk in faith and understand just because you don't have that husband does not mean God can't use you. And it does not mean that God won't bless what you're doing, because he will.
Or that you can be equally effective or just as valuable, because some people are even called to being single anyways, let alone
I'm starting to think I might be. I mean, I've been single a long time.
I think it would be hard.
That's okay with me.
I think it would be very difficult to be single, at least if you were married and kind of understood that life, to go the other direction. Losing a spouse or something, I think that would be, especially as you get older, you're
Right.
like, this isn't, I
Well,
thought
I
it'd be
think
us
for
till
me,
the.
Brad, I am content
Mm.
in where I'm at. Whether that means I stay single the rest of my life or whether it means the Lord sends someone into my life, I'm content either way. And that's a really good place to be because I
Yes.
have Christian women friends who are not, and even men friends as well, who are just making stupid decisions
Right.
and mistakes because of the fear of, I don't want to be single or I don't want to be alone. I don't have that.
Yeah.
I'm very, very content with.
Well,
my
and
life is-
the greatest thing about, again, not the greatest, but one of the most important things about contentment is you're in balance, which
Yeah.
means you're not rushing anything,
Mhm.
you're not trying to force anything, you're not
No.
kind of contriving, which means
Mhm.
if and when he comes,
Mhm.
you'll kind of know because I
Yes.
wasn't really looking for you. I knew that when you showed up, I'd know.
Exactly.
And so but only contentment
Yeah.
can give you that. Otherwise, the first moment of romanticism,
Exactly.
I want that.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, that's not what I wanted.
Yes.
And it's hard. I was just talking to my daughter about this. I said, what's really interesting about any relationship, especially if you're younger, if you get married, let's say,
Mhm.
is the problem with life is, some of my best lessons I've ever learned in my spiritual life have only happened the last couple of years.
Mhm.
It's taken decades for me to figure some things out that I needed. So when you picked that person back then, you had a lot of brokenness. You had a lot of
Absolutely.
elements of your spirit, your mentality, your
Yes.
psychology, your awareness of what matters and what doesn't, that you didn't have.
Right.
It wasn't sophisticated. And so you choose people based on that detriment.
Yes. Hurt people.
Yeah, hurt. Yes.
Find hurt people.
For
People that are healthy, find unhealthy
or you
people.
find the person that
Absolutely.
you think you deserve, which
Yeah,
is sometimes
exactly.
not good because
Which is what happened to me.
sometimes you think you deserve something that isn't
Mhm.
healthy. But here's the deal.
Especially after choosing an abortion.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Women who choose abortion, as I did almost 40 years ago, will then convince themselves this is what I deserve because I don't deserve happiness. I don't deserve.
So they
to
would
be treated a
they would
certain
say
way.
that abortion is a punishment. Like this is what
Absolutely.
your life is destroyed now for what
Yes.
you've done, or at least you can
Absolutely.
picture that in your
God
head.
could never use me.
Mm.
This is my penance in life to be miserable. And I say, I when I talk to my girlfriends, and they're more concerned about me being single than I am. They're all married and I'm not. And I look at them and say, girls, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm really good. But one of the things I do tell them is if I had a desire to be married again one day or to have someone in my life, it would be because I'm probably the best version of me now than I've ever been.
Right.
And you're exactly right. The woman I was, many years. I mean, I just turned 61 years old. I have 14 grandchildren and 4 daughters that are married. I have a big, beautiful family that I'm very thankful for. But the younger version of me did not know her identity in Christ.
Mhm.
So she chose out of her brokenness and out of her sin and her guilt and her shame. And that's why I'm single. I mean,
Well, but here's the other thing, Victor. You're a very beautiful woman and you have a wonderful countenance and whatever. So clearly you could get someone. I'm sure you've had many opportunities. No, but what I'm trying to say is this. It's not like for lack of availability.
No.
It was for you knowing I'm not going to compromise anymore.
No.
For the God that I've believed in that will hand me this thing. And maybe, like you said, maybe that won't be, who knows, man? I mean,
I don't know.
Right?
I tell you, Brad, now I think at my age now and how long I've been single. And also I want to say this because Christian singles need to hear this, living a celibate life, because I committed to the Lord when I became single, that unless I am married again, I will not be out sleeping around. And I have seen my Christian friends who are doing this and they're broken.
I think that's very common. And it was such a stain on what it does mean to be a true believer. It's a hard.
It's not an easy life.
Of course not.
Yes, and so I tell my friends, if I ever do meet him and we get married again, it'll be a short engagement.
Amen. Let's roll.
And we'll meet you later in the reception.
Yeah.
But we've got to either have both feet in, or we can't have one in and one out. And I see the friends that make those decisions, and it breaks my heart for them. I don't judge them. I don't condemn them, but I watch what they walk through when they compromise. And I refuse to compromise. I did that in the past many, many years ago. I won't do it again. And it's just not worth it. So I think that when we understand truly who we are in Christ, Brad, and that I am a daughter of the King, and it's not settling. I don't want it to, because that kind of sounds like think I'm better. And I don't at all. It's what you said. I won't compromise. And when I go out on dates, as you said, and not as many as you think, because I say no a lot more than I say yes. Why waste his time and mine?
Right.
I can pretty much sense we're going to be friends, but that's it. Or sometimes I have said, check, please. Because you are definitely not on the same page that I am, and I'm doing you a favor by cutting you out.
Well,
how do we get on the subject of my single life?
But there's an interesting element of responsibility right now with what you just said. Here's what I mean by that. One of the things I tell you I've learned in the last few years. I've been a Christian since I was 9 years old. So I was a little kid, got saved, didn't know what I was doing. But I mean, if you want to accept Jesus, raise your hand. Okay. And some beautiful things happen. And I've been a believer all my life. I had my prodigal journeys. I've always made very clear. But I've been married now 33, 34 years. I've never cheated on my wife. She's never cheated. I mean, we've had a marriage. It's been challenging, but we were committed to each other and have remained, loyal to each other. But the thing that I learned, and it's like, how did I miss this? But we were never called to be Christians. We were called to be disciples. And I've said this a million times now. Christianity is easy because Jesus does all the work.
Oh, that's good.
He's the one that has to live sinlessly. I can't. He's the one that gets beaten, doesn't deserve it because I did. Yes. He's the one that has to suffer because I couldn't handle it. He's the one that has to die because I don't want to. He's the one that can defeat death and resurrect to be the innocent one, which I'm not, to give me access to the Father and the Holy of Holies for eternity because I couldn't get there on my own. And I had no reason for him to do that because he loved his creation so much he was willing to become like us. It's the craziest story there ever was, and it's what makes it so amazing. But here's the thing. So everybody's like, well, it's free, the gift of faith. It is free, and he does give it to you for free, and he offers it all to you. But what we don't learn in American Christianity, and I always differentiate American Christianity from everybody else, is he does give you a free pass. He does give you that. It's a beautiful, wonderful thing that I couldn't earn, and all I have to do is accept it. That's true. But he did say, before you take this, count the cost. Yes. Because your salvation is free. Your redemptive spirit is free. Because it had to be, because you couldn't have earned it. Yeah. But from this day, if you accept me as your Lord and Savior, you have died. Yeah. That's so good. And now I'm going to resurrect you, but you're mine now. Yep. You're dead, you're crucified, you're a slave, and anything I bring your way is the sacrifice you're giving back to me for everybody else. Yep. And that's the way it works. And it will be a disciplined life, and that's where we get discipled. And Victoria, it's the hardest stinking life 100%. You will ever live in your life, because everything is counterintuitive to what we want to do. Our faith, the only one, says, love your enemy. Ridiculous. Yes, exactly. What? Exactly. I don't want to love my enemy. I want to hate them as they deserve. And God would probably say they do. Yes. Pray for those that despitefully use you. So here's the Bible saying there are despicable people on this earth. Yep. He's not pretending like they're good people. They're despicable. Yes. And he said, pray for those. Now, he doesn't tell you what to pray. Okay, well, so I don't know. Maybe there's a loophole, but no. But here's the thing, Victoria. What I realized was, well, what he would have me pray is pray for their repentance, pray for their salvation, pray that they get the same grace I didn't deserve to. But what I really learned recently, and again, as we tape this, we watched the assassination of Charlie Kirk, our brother in Christ. What I really learned recently is there are monsters out there. Yeah. there are despicable people out there. And so, yes, God wants them to come home too.
Yes.
But you know what else, Victoria? Why he wants me to pray for them and love my enemy? Because if I don't, I'll become a monster too.
Yeah.
And I don't want to become them.
Yeah.
And the only way I can do that is to sacrifice my feelings, my emotions,
Mhm.
my pain, my grief, my desire for revenge.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what, Brad? Their only hope is us praying for them
Ugh.
because they have been given over.
Oh my!
They
Oh,
are
it is so demonic.
Yes,
it's
so
beyond
demonic.
belief.
I got just the other. I've had people confront me when I speak at
Yeah,
a
of course.
church or an event or wherever. I was on the road with Shonda this past week. She asked me to speak for a few minutes before her show, and I've in all the years that I have done pro-life work and spoken at pro-life events, I've had people confront me, but I've never had them put their hands on me until this week.
Really?
And she literally put her hands, grabbed me, was speaking the most vile things. And I stayed. This just
She's in a
happened.
church?
Yes. She showed up.
So it wasn't a Christian woman, or was it? Well, who knows?
No, she was demonic.
Okay.
The woman was waiting for me at my table and just came right to me, grabbed me, and started saying some of the most vile things. And I just sat there or stood there going, oh my gosh, you are so lost. So I said to her, you know what, ma'am? I'm going to pray for you. You need some prayer. You have a very cold heart. And it was like, I thought her head was going to spin around. That made her more angry. I stayed calm. I said, please, would you let go of me? And she did for a second, grabbed me again 3 different times. And I'm telling you, Brad, we're living in a time right now that is like no other I've seen before. None. What happened to Charlie Kirk, and I don't know if you know this, but I do a lot of speaking for them on college campuses.
That's good.
I met Charlie a couple times. We didn't hang out. I remember seeing him at events and conferences thinking, God, I really want to just ask him for 10 minutes. I just want to sit down with him, but I just didn't want to bother him. I regret that now. I so regret that because he was the kind of guy that would have said, of course I'll make time. What would you like to talk about? But I didn't do that. And we are living in a time where I said this last night at a vigil I spoke at for him, that Charlie Kirk was not filled with hate. People hated what he said, but he loved people enough to tell them the truth.
Yeah.
And the truths that were biblical that he told them were a man can't be a woman, a woman can't be a man. Yeah. Biblical marriage is between a man and a woman.
Right.
There is no ifs, ands, or buts. And abortion is murder. That didn't mean we are condemning the girl who goes to have an abortion. I'm one of those girls. And I tell people all the time, I'll never say to a woman, you're a murderer, because I know how the abortion industry manipulates women in their most vulnerable time of their life. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. But that abortionist knows exactly what he or she's doing. And that's the murderer there. Now, that's what these women and men carry after an abortion, is that stamp is on them afterwards. I'm a murderer now.
Okay. Have you ever felt like I murdered my kid?
Afterwards, when
like
I was
for real, like I murdered my child.
Yes, because
so that's
abortion
got to
is
be
murder.
almost.
Abortion
how does one even?
Is murder.
No, I know that, but I'm
Yes.
just saying. I would
Absolutely.
think to survive, you would have to make it less. Well, it was kind of like I wasn't.
Here's
Couldn't
how I
think
look at it, Brad.
Yeah.
I participated in the murder of my child. And that is,
but to come to grips
enough
with that
and the only way you can is through Christ, Brad. That's it. That's why for 10 years after my abortion, I was crippled. That's why I was getting involved in abusive relationships. I thought I deserved them. I thought I deserved to be cheated on and called ugly names. This was what my penance was. I mean, I killed my baby. So yes, you know that you participated, and it is only through the healing, saving knowledge of Christ that you can live with that. So I had a woman walk up to me, Brad, I was in Utah, and she came up to me and she said, I had spoke at a pregnancy center banquet and I got emotional. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I don't try to manufacture anything. And she was so sweet. She said, my heart breaks for you. You do know Jesus has forgiven you. And I said, yes. And she goes, are you sure you know this? This was only a few years ago. And I walked through healing 28 years ago.
Right.
And I said, yes. And she said, you just got so emotional when you were sharing your story. I wanted to make sure you know Jesus loves you and he's forgiven you. And I looked at her and I said, do you have children? Yes, I have 3. What would you do if you lost one of them? I would be devastated. I said, please try to understand that even for women like me who participated in the murder of their child are still devastated and grieve the rest of their life for what wasn't. I told you before we started recording, I have 4 daughters and 4 son-in-laws who all live in the Nashville area. And I'm very grateful. And 14 grandchildren. And we are a very close family, and we do lots of cookouts and lots of every holiday, and we're always together when we can be. And I look at all my 14 grandchildren, Brad, and I don't tell my girls this because I don't want them to think I'm hurting. I'm so blessed. But I will, for the rest of my life, realize there's more missing that should be here. So it's not something you ever get over. It's something that you know that once you accept and can realize the forgiveness of Christ, that he went to the cross, not just for the unborn child that was aborted, but for those parents who made that decision out of whatever reason it was, then it changes everything.
Well, you said earlier, you don't judge these women or call them murderers. That's a little rough. I mean, I think they probably hate themselves enough.
Do.
You know, they don't need any help. They're already there.
With some of these people who do that. Yeah.
It's not like they're, it's frivolous, especially if they're coming to something like a pro-life thing or trying to figure it out because they know that something's wrong. What they were told is just a procedure, just a tonsil removal, whatever.
There but a blob of tissue, clump of cells. It's nothing there. Let's get it out before it becomes alive.
Now, that's changed a lot, obviously, over the years in technology, and sonograms have really changed. And when you're going, I can't not see a baby.
Right.
So it is what it is. But you said something about Charlie. About the trans thing is like, oh, man can't be a woman can't be a man. Mm-hmm. And, one of the absolute necessities for true disciples is truth-telling.
Yes.
You have to be because Jesus said, I am the truth.
Yeah.
He is the essence of that. All truth derives from the essence of Christ, who is ultimate transcendent truth. So it's not just a moral way to be. It's not even just a 10 commandment, and it is, don't bear false witness. You're not supposed to lie. Mm-hmm. But it's more important because truth is designed to heal, and it's designed to bring you to repentance if you're broken.
Yes.
One of my jokes was, I talked about how you Christians aren't supposed to offend people. And I said, well, then you know nothing of my religion because we're not allowed to maliciously offend you. We're not allowed to think we're better than you. We're not allowed to think God likes me more. And then I say, the only reason I'm a Christian, it's the only religion that would have me. And they laugh. And then I go, but if the truth offends you, that's your problem. Yes. And then I say this, the truth is supposed to offend you. That's how you know you don't have it.
Exactly.
Because in Christianity, that's called conviction.
Yes.
In the secular world, God doesn't leave them out. It's called your conscience. We know murder is murder, and we know you're not supposed to kill humans.
Right.
No matter how small they are. Because that's all we are. Yes. Everybody who's ever killed their baby in utero used to be that size. And that's really what we're talking about. Exactly. Well, they haven't really started. Yeah, I know. But everything starts day one. Yep. And it ends the last day.
And even if you took our Christianity out of it, Brad, science has proven that at the moment of conception, we're unique human beings with our own DNA.
And more importantly, is it alive or dead?
Yes.
Well, it's alive. That's that. I don't know what else to say.
You don't kill something that's not dead.
But notice what happens, though, when the science is catching up to revealing this degradation of what this thing is. Yeah. They had to move the bar. Suddenly, now we got Democrat Party saying, if you want abortion and it fails and the kid's born, kill it.
Yes.
So they've taken it to a level that, and then you have Peter Singers and guys like that say, maybe up to 3 years you can kill them.
Yes.
So that's what happens when you dehumanize at any age, any stage of development. It becomes a a product by
Keep
which you
moving
have
it.
access
They're moving the
to
line.
choose to do or not do, like a man or woman says, I'm going to trade this car in. It just becomes a commodity that you can choose to want. And what's interesting to me, I said this to a guy once years ago who was a left-leaning guy. And I said, he was pro-abortion. I said, well, let me explain something. Let me just help me on this. I don't know what the earliest time you can find out you're pregnant. What is that? You'd know.
Oh gosh, you
What's
can find
the
out within-
absolute earliest?
Now, absolute earliest probably changes all the time, but it's within a few weeks.
Okay, so let's
easily.
just say
have a blood test.
3 weeks,
Yeah.
5 weeks,
Yeah.
3. Okay. So let's just say this. So it's like a couple wants to have a kid and they've been trying, it's been hard. And suddenly 3 weeks, she finds, oh, we did it.
Mm-hmm.
Husband comes home from work, it's hard. Oh, he walks in there. There's some candles lit on the table. He's like, what is this? Sits down, slippers are there, little wine or whatever. They're all there. It's like beautiful music. Honey, what's good? Like, we're pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
3 weeks old. Said, second scenario. Oh, yeah, we don't want this kid.
Yep.
Guy comes home. Here's a TV dinner. She doesn't tell him jack and decides to go eliminate. I say, what changed?
Yeah.
The only thing that changed was, did you want it or not?
Yes.
But the person never changed.
That's exactly right.
And so that was something he literally said, this was years ago. Oh, okay, that makes me think a little bit. And that's, I'm not trying to exploit Charlie Kirk, but what this whole podcast is becoming is the idea of discipleship, is training Christians to understand why we believe what we believe and how to go out and use it in real time. You need to understand these arguments. You need to understand what pro-life means. Right. It's not just we've decided you got to keep your baby, good luck.
Yes.
It's not that at all.
No.
So what have you seen in all these years? And you've been doing it for how many, 30 years or something?
Almost.
But what have you seen to be, because I think there's a big change morally in the younger generation. I've heard it's the most pro-life generation ever.
Yes.
And these are 20-year-olds and so forth, who are probably screwing around. So you're thinking, if anybody's going to have something at stake, and they're saying, no, they ain't right. So what have you seen has changed from when you first started and where we are now? And what do you think has caused people to catch on this ain't right?
Yeah. I think that what's changed is what you just said. We have the most pro-life younger generation coming up. Why has that happened? Here's why I think. Because think about it, Brad. They've seen their baby sisters and brothers on the refrigerator in the ultrasound. They've gone with
technology.
mom and dad. Sure.
Okay.
They've gone with mom and dad and seen their baby brothers and sisters in the ultrasound. They are celebrating it and excited about having a new sibling, and they know, and I think science as well. And I'm not talking about in the public schools, because they're probably rarely teaching them that science has already proven DNA, and the unique is what I said already happens at that moment of conception. I think we have a very much more, and I think Charlie recognized this. He recognized that the young people are getting a bad rap. They're not just these ignorant, stupid kids who don't want to amount to anything. He saw in them that they just wanted someone to tell them the truth.
Yeah.
And when I go to schools, and I used to get invited to go to schools a lot more than I do now, a lot more. And I did a message called I Don't Until I Do. And I would talk to them about the 5 things you need to be shy away from: gang activities, smoking, drugs and alcohol, sex outside of marriage, and be careful who you are hanging around with. And I gave them the reasons why. And every time after that 45-minute lecture, which I still do it, just not as much, because they don't want me coming and telling kids not to have sex. But I didn't just say, don't have sex, you're going to hell. I would tell them, first thing I'd say to them, Brad, was, sex is awesome. So first time
and they're like, woohoo!
They were.
Yeah.
I love this sex lady.
I can't wait for this.
They're losing their minds. When they calmed down, I said, in marriage. Now I'm going to tell you why. They just want us to tell them the truth and tell them why. All right, why should I be pro-life, Charlie Kirk? Why should I not be engaging in changing my body and taking drugs to change because, I'm feeling this way or that way? And what you said earlier about the lies that we tell people. I had a girl who I was reminded of a girl in North Dakota who came to my retreat. And on Thursday night, the first night, she looked at me and said, I just want you to know I'm here because I made a promise, but I know I'm fine for my abortion. My therapist that I've been seeing every week for 7 years, I go every Tuesday, told me you did the right thing. You were 15 years old. You should have never had a child at 15. So I'm just here because I made a promise. I don't think anything I did was wrong. So I looked at her and I said, your therapist isn't a Christian, is he? She said, how would you know that? I said, because no good Bible-believing Christian therapist would tell you what you did was right. Because I'm here to tell you it wasn't. Now, we'll get into your circumstances that brought you to that place, but I'm not going to lie to you and tell you it was okay. And that's the problem. Like my girlfriends who have come to me. I would never say, one of my friends about a year ago came to me and she was distraught because she gave into temptation. And I looked at her and I said, I love you. You're better than this. But hey, you know what you did. Now get up. It's not a sin to get knocked down.
Right.
Get back up.
Yeah.
I see so much in the church, Brad, where some people in the church and someone falls, they want to stick their foot in their neck and hold them there rather than reconciling them to the cross. And those are the kind of Christians I want to hang around.
Well,
because I need them to do it for me every day. I mess up every day.
Well, but here's the deal. And again, going back to, just because it's so fresh to the Charlie Kirk scenario, he has been the most influential on that age group.
No question.
Maybe than anybody in our history of you. I don't know who else could even compare. It's ridiculous. Yes. And even for him to get Donald Trump to get 40% of the youth vote, Republican, rich guy, it just didn't make sense. He somehow overcame what used to be impossible to even consider.
We can't deny he helped put Trump in the office.
For sure. No question. But here's what's interesting though. The thing that is really fascinating to me right now with this just a week out of this horrible, I mean, I don't even.
I'm still waking up.
Well, of course, happen. I know. All of us are. And I never met him. But one of the things that is fascinating to me is seeing not just the videos of the people that are doing vigils and all these wonderful things. Of course, there's these hideous other videos of people celebrating and dancing on the grave. Yeah. Good news is he doesn't care. He's good. He doesn't. He's good. So you're not hurting him. You ain't hurting him. But people saying, I got to get a Bible. People saying, I got to go to church. I don't know what. Because what he gave them was the antithesis to postmodernism, which is said life has no meaning. Yes, it's all nihilism. When that the new atheism, when that had its little run with the Richard Dawkins and the Christopher Hitchens, and you know the God delusion and religion poisons everything, and people bought into it. They bought into it. It was nothing new under the sun. It's just atheism. It's just worship of self. But they thought they had been set free. There's no rules. There's no morals. Eat, drink, and be merry. Tomorrow you die, you go into oblivion. And by the way, if that was true, I agree. If there's nothing else, might as well. This is all I get. But they didn't want that. What people don't understand about kids is as much as they rebel against discipline, they really, even if they don't know it, give me the guardrails. Yes. Tell me the rules. Yes. Make sure somebody, I want you in by 12. You want me in by 12. And even if they don't realize it, something inside of them are saying, somebody's watching out for me. Somebody's letting me know I get 100%. To come home at 12. Yes. I got to be here. But it's because they're paying attention. And it also gets me off the hook of not having to say, well, I can't stay. I can't have that drink because somebody's reeling me in. I can blame my parents for not being cool. Yes. But it's beautiful because you're given you're this armor bearer for these people. Well, they replaced that beautiful spiritual discipline with do whatever you want. Whatever you desire is what is true and good. Well, who wouldn't want that? It's the original sin. It literally is the first sin. I'll be God. So the problem in America, the problem in the West is systemic narcissism. It's this worship of self that says whatever I desire becomes my right. And by the way, if you get in the way of that, you are doing me existential harm. and your words are violent, and I can kill you for that.
100%.
That's what happened
100%.
to Charlie Kirk.
Charlie's words convicted people.
Yes.
They convicted people and they didn't like it because he was telling them the truth.
Right.
I said that again last night, that Charlie spoke truth and they hated him for speaking the truth because they knew inside he was right. And their convictions made them despise him
Right.
and shut him up. But they didn't shut him up. You're
No,
right.
no,
42,000
yeah.
counting have called the
Yeah.
offices in Phoenix, Trump US,
Yeah.
TP USA,
Yeah.
asking to do chapters. Last night when I did that vigil, I had students coming to me. How do I start a chapter
Yeah.
with Turning Point at my school,
Yeah,
at my
yeah.
high school?
No,
at
it's
my
going. It's going. It's going
they have no
exponentially
idea.
growth that
No.
they can't imagine in the wildest dreams.
No, not at all.
Because he also needed to be a younger person, I think, for them to go, oh, he's like us.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Not just the old guy giving me some old religious stuff.
Right.
My grandparents make me go to church. Oh, this guy, and he's cool and he's smart.
Yeah.
And here's the thing you all got to understand if you happen to be watching this or listening to this and you're a non-believer and you're curious. Hey, I want to do whatever I want too.
Hmm.
So it's not about, oh, somehow I'm different than you,
Right.
or I'm better, or I'm somehow don't need or have desires for sex with anybody I meet, or drugs or drinking, or I want all those things too, or have had those temptations.
Right.
I chose something more. This is what you have to understand. And it's the hardest lesson, but I've said it for years. And now it's come to reality. If you have nothing worth dying for, you have nothing worth living for. That's how real life is. It's so sacred, so special, so necessary, so created by God Almighty as a gift that is beyond your understanding or appreciation. That he would say to you, and that integrity and truth and righteousness and morality that I've asked you to give, and I will even bring you into eternity with me by living this life that my son, by the way, paid the price so you don't have to worry about your sins, is worth your life. Because here's what you don't understand. If you're watching, listening, you're terminally ill. First thing you need to know. The moment you were conceived, you were dying. 2, you live forever. I don't know who came up with this idea, you guys, I want eternal life. You've got it. Everybody has it. But you have to choose where you're going. And that's what this amazing, I'm sorry, Victoria. I still don't like that that's the cost. I still don't want to act as though somehow there's something noble and powerful and it all is true.
Yeah.
But it's so painful.
Yes.
It's so difficult.
I mean, my gosh, Brad, Charlie didn't want to be murdered.
No.
And assassinated and martyred.
And neither do I.
No, and neither do I. But he wanted to be with his wife, his beautiful wife and his children, and watch them grow up. But he was willing. And I tell people all the time, if you're not willing to die on this hill, then get out.
And you know how you'll know if you are? If you are or not courageous enough to speak the truth.
Yes.
If you're not speaking the truth, you value this life more than when you face the living God who says, what did you do with what I gave you? Yeah. And again, much easier to read about a martyr.
Absolutely.
Much easier to hear about what's happening in the Congo, in Iran, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and India, and North Korea, and China, and Pakistan, and Turkey, and Egypt, and now even in Europe, even and Canada, and things that are happening to Christians. It's not quite death yet, but certainly is changing the whole scope of your freedom there. It's easy to read about them,
right?
And it can even be effective in helping us and inspiring us. But nobody wants to turn, Victoria. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? It's our turn.
Yeah, it is.
And what really was just fascinating to me, all of his close friends and people that were really connected to him, Eric Metaxas, Steve Dace, Frank Turek, Rob McCoy, all of these people are good friends of mine. Mm-hmm. What he was killed for, I have been saying for years. Yeah. So it's like, oh, I'm in the same tribe.
But you know what, Brad? For the Christian, for those like you and I, the disciples. I love that. It's a win-win.
It is.
If we get to stay here and continue doing the work that he's called us to do for
Yeah.
however long that is,
Yeah.
that's a win. We're still here with our families. We're still here trying to make a difference. If we're killed, assassinated, martyred, whatever, I mean, I don't, how, whatever you want to
Mhm.
call it, for our faith and
Yeah.
for the work we're doing, we're with him.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win.
And this is the key, though, is to quit reading the Bible like a metaphor. When he says, that you died to sin and you're crucified with Christ, he was serious.
Yes, he was.
This is real.
Yeah, it's just like
And
forgiveness.
I need
It's
you to
not
do that.
a suggestion. It's a
No.
command.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got to remember.
So the thing I wanted to ask you was when you talked about talking about truth when it comes to these very hot button issues, trans or marriage or abortion, pro-life is a big, these people go nuts. It's
Oh, yeah.
demonic. They can't just disagree. They go crazy.
That woman, you know what she said to me? She said, you just lied to all those women. You told them Planned Parenthood does abortions and that's all they do. I said, because they are the number one provider of abortions. And that's a lie. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, what book are you reading, honey?
Well, the book of Satan, because Satan is the
Exactly.
father of lies. No,
Yes,
the
you're
only
right.
battle we have
You're
ever had in
right.
history has never been about conservative or liberal or leftist or Democrat or Republican or Christian or none of that is what our battle has been. The battle from day one was truth and lies.
Mhm.
That's all it is. It just reveals itself in political parties and
Yes.
philosophies and so forth. But what I was curious about, though, is to say the truth. And one of the truths you said, so this is kind of an interesting navigation,
Mhm.
is that if you have an abortion, you murdered your child. Now, there is no other way to frame it.
Mhm.
You might say it's second degree murder, right? Or manslaughter. I mean, if you want to try to soften the blow, but you killed somebody.
Yes.
There's no way to sugarcoat that.
No.
There's no way to escape that psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, or more. There's no way
There's
to
no
get
way.
it. So and yet you also said, but I would never say you murdered your child. So what I'm trying to figure
No,
out
I
is,
would never look at her and go, "You're a murderer." You're a
oh,
murderer,"
okay,
and say that to her because she's already feeling
like
it.
in
She already knows it.
in a literal
No, I've seen these
attack
people who literally
visual.
say,
Yeah, I see.
"You're nothing but a murderer."
I
No,
see. So
that's what-
you'll make a broader statement.
Yeah.
This is what
Abortion is
it
murder.
is.
You participated in the
but-
murder of your child.
Okay, yeah.
100%. Let's talk about how you got there. I think that's where my empathy and sympathy come from, that don't come from everyone. I'm talking about you, but from others that I've been around who have said to my face, you and all these men, women, and couples you help deserve to suffer the rest of your life for what you did.
Oh,
And I look at them and go, I don't know what Jesus you serve,
yeah.
but it's not the same one that I
Right.
serve.
Yeah.
And you're wrong. You are wrong. What was the point of the cross?
Right.
If you're going to sit here and tell me that we have to suffer through this and
Yeah.
not accept his forgiveness for what we've done.
But clearly, even with forgiveness,
Mhm.
he doesn't erase your memory.
No, listen, there's a consequence for sin.
And I'm not saying that
Always.
for no other reason than us presuming, obviously, some women are listening to this,
Yes.
or men
Yes.
who pressured a woman.
Yes.
You're culpable. If you made your girlfriend or whatever get her, you killed your kid,
Yes,
man. I don't
yes.
know what to tell you.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm sure they want to escape the guilt.
Of course.
You're 30 years into
40 years. Almost
from an
40
abortion.
years, yes.
You know God has saved you. Know God has healed you. You know God has redeemed you. You've seen your story heal thousands of people's potential to kill their baby. I guarantee
the
you.
death of my child has saved many.
Because
many
that's how
children.
Christianity works.
Yes.
Your child went to the cross,
Yes.
was resurrected. He's in, or she or whatever is in heaven. One death to save
Yeah.
thousands. Well, that's the
Yes.
Jesus
That's why I
story.
do what I do. Brad.
But what I guess what I was going to try to find was, okay, if you're going to tell them, I'm sorry, I can't take away the memory or the guilt. Maybe it gets less
Yep.
or whatever. But you even told me that you still can have moments of.
I do. I still have moments.
So
where I'm in the fetal
what are you?
position.
So tell them how to navigate that, because I think they want it to just to go away, and it's not going
It's never going to go away. It's the same as what I said to that woman. Would you grieve the rest of your life? You're going to grieve the rest of your life. You're also going to look at your children and your future grandchildren and say there should be more here. That's the consequence of sin. I tell girls all the time, if you have premarital sex and you're not married and you end up pregnant and you go to church on Sunday, you know you're pregnant, you don't know what you're going to do, but you run to the altar because of conviction. And praise God for conviction, because when we don't feel conviction, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
But if you're running to the altar and you're saying, God, forgive me for having premarital sex. I knew I shouldn't have been doing that. And is he going to forgive you? Yes. But the consequence of what you did, which was out of God's plan for you, is that you're now pregnant.
Yeah.
And it's going to change your life, especially as an unmarried person or a teenager or whatever. So that's why I would sit here and say to you, there is a consequence for me and women and men just like me for the rest of our life. It's not some, these other people that tell me you should deserve, they don't understand that you don't need to scream in someone's face they're a murderer. That's why that woman, when she was saying the most vile things to me, I was so thankful. The other women that were leaving the conference who wanted to come speak to me for help, to come to a retreat, did not hear what she said. Because had they heard her, Brad, they would have ran out. And they would have never probably come into a church again and realized, see, that God does hate me. But that woman couldn't hurt me because I walk in healing. It doesn't mean I don't still grieve, but I walk in healing. I walk in the full knowledge of knowing Jesus died for not just for me, for my baby, but for me as well. And that I can walk in that, and he's taking what the enemy meant for evil and turning it into good by me helping other people not make the same mistake or walking in freedom. And here's the thing that's so important about abortion recovery, Brad. And this is what these ignorant people that don't understand, who are against people. And I like to say to them, well, shoot me, throw that first rock at me if you've done nothing that you need his grace and mercy for. Is that I'm convinced with the millions and millions of people who've had abortions in this country, that if we reach them with the message of hope, healing, Jesus loves you, yes, will it still be there, the residual? Yes. But you can function. You can serve Christ in his fullness. And that is what's going to make abortion unthinkable. Because these people now walk like this, Brad. They can't talk about it. They feel like hypocrites. If they go to church, they feel like someone's going to find out. So they sit there every week and they're not listening to the word. They're more ashamed, so much shame that they feel someone's going to find out. And then they're not going to let me come to church. They're not going to let me sing on the worship team. They're not going to let me be in that men's group if they knew. But what they don't understand is it's so true that the truth sets you free. But when they walk through healing, again, I've said it a few times, and their identity is no longer in the sin of abortion, but in what Christ did on the cross for them, even for that sin of abortion, they're set free. They don't care who knows anymore.
Okay.
Brad, for 10 years, I couldn't look in a mirror by myself and say, you had an abortion. You killed your own baby. I couldn't get the words out. After I went through a retreat like the ones I now do, I was I was at the very first weekend model retreat they ever did in Greenville, South Carolina. After that retreat is when I didn't care who or what they thought of me. All I cared about was what he thought of me. And that's the freedom I want to offer these people so that they know he loves them.
And I know you're doing it. You're just have this amazing.
I can't keep up, Brad. I can't keep up.
Reassemble retreats.
Reassemble retreats. You can find out about them at reassemblelife.com.
Okay.
That is my website.
I don't want to end this without bringing up what maybe is changing now, but for so long was ignored, was the men.
Yes. I've been ministering to men for years.
You're right. But I've done, I don't know how many, but lots of PRC fundraisers for many, many, many years. And obviously believe in pro-life and always want. And one of the things that I had to learn when I started doing it was what exactly are they doing? Because one of the big hits against Christians were, well, you just want to make them have the baby, but then you just leave them out in the street.
which
Good
is
luck.
not
And it's like
true.
that. It couldn't be less true.
Yes.
First off, a PRC, a Pregnancy Resource Center, it helps usher them through what they're about to experience.
Yeah.
Once they have the child, they can keep coming back, get free diapers, get free
Yes.
clothing, get free food if they need it.
Yes.
And classes. I
Yes.
love that to
Parenting
help them know
classes.
how, because it's hard.
Yes.
Hey, raising a kid, you're not, I mean, you
Yes.
have a certain instinct, but there's stuff you don't know,
That's
especially
right.
if you don't have a doctor or a gynecologist, maybe. I don't know
Right,
what these
right.
girls are going through. But what I love is they also have one for the guy. And a lot of
Yes.
times they're not married,
Yep.
but they're trying to teach him, okay, so here's what you can do. Here's how you can help. But talk to me. I've talked to one guy that you recommend, and we're going to about maybe have another one, but what is the difference psychologically, and what is the difference in grappling with the aftermath of abortion between a man and a woman? There must be some similarities, but I'll bet you there's something different too, because a woman's a nurturer. You're a mother.
Yes. Yes.
That's a whole different ballgame, because of like, I'm
Yes.
supposed to be the one that brought it in. It has to put a whole lot more weight on you. The guy cares about his son or his daughter too and loves them,
Yeah.
maybe,
Right.
unless he's the one that forced it.
Yeah.
But he has no control
Yeah. So,
often,
well, yeah.
depending on the state or whatever the scenario is. So
Well, he has no control if he doesn't want her to do it.
that,
The
right, that's
majority
what-
of men
yeah, right.
are at the, I mean, and I've told you, I'm pro man. I think men have gotten a bad rap. I think they've been so emasculated in this country today, Brad. They stand in the corner because they don't know if they're allowed to say anything, because it's not my body. And they've told me it's not my body, but it's not her body either, is what I remind
course,
men of.
yeah.
But here's the difference. It's very, very similar. They go through a lot of similarities. God created women, as you just said, to nurture. We bring forth life. That's why the enemy wants to destroy us.
Right.
We bring forth life. So when we come to the realization, oh my gosh, I allowed some strange doctor, I don't even want to call him a doctor, a murderer, to walk into a room and kill my child. That's why it becomes, they fall into this deep depression sometimes, or they become very promiscuous, or they'll become drug addicts, numb themselves with alcohol, all of those things. They will start with their own children becoming distant because they're afraid to bond or love them too much for fear that God's going to take a child of theirs because of what they did. It's not natural for a woman to kill her children.
No.
It's not natural. But it's also not natural for a man to participate in the death of his child.
Of course
Think
not.
about how God made men. He made you guys to protect.
Yeah.
You protect us women.
Yeah.
You're the provider.
And your children. You're protecting your children,
100%.
right?
You protect your children. Somebody messes with your child, you are right there. So when a man comes to the same realization, Brad, he's just as devastated as the woman because he failed as a man. When I called the father of my aborted child, after I went through that retreat, and I was writing my first book, They Lied to Us, and I thought I need to tell him about the book. Even though I put no identifying factors about him in the book, we had a lot of the same friends still in the same circles, even though we didn't see each other for 10 years after we broke up, which, by the way, 9 out of 10 times when a couple experiences an abortion together, they break up. It's too traumatic of an
Yeah, it's
experience
too much.
staying
It's
together.
just, you're
So
always
you
reminding
think you're
each
going to
other.
keep the boyfriend, keep the
Yeah.
husband because they're threatening to get rid of it. You lose them anyway, and
Yeah.
then you've lost your baby. So I call him 10 years later when the book's about to come out, just to kind of give him a heads up and remind and just, ease his mind if that's the right thing to say. And I said, "Hello, it's me." He immediately recognized my voice and he started to weep. He cried so hard I couldn't understand what he was saying. So when he composed himself, he said, "Vic, I've been waiting for this call for over a decade to beg you forgiveness for what I made you do. It has haunted me all these years, and I've been in therapy 8 years dealing with it.
Wow.
Can you ever forgive me? I should have protected you and our baby, and I failed you both." And I was shocked, Brad, because I thought he'd gone on with his life.
Right.
That was the moment for me, Brad, that God birthed a new love for these men in my heart.
Yeah.
Instead of blaming them and judging them and condemning them. Because I realized in that moment 2 things. 1, I had not fully forgiven him for his participation, because I thought, you're the one, all you had to do was say, don't do it.
Yeah.
Let's get married. I love you. But you didn't.
Mm.
And the second thing I realized was men are hurting too. And that's why just a few short years ago, I started doing men's retreats instead of only women's retreats. And at that first men's retreat, I did it here in Nashville, Leapers Fort. On the way there, Brad, on that Thursday driving, because we have our retreats from Thursday night to Sunday at noon. We stay together I don't with the men, but I have men who work with me who stay with the guys. I just lead the sessions. And on the way there, very first men's retreat, I had it out with the Lord on that 45-minute drive. I said, what in the world am I doing a men's retreat for? This is ridiculous. One and done, Lord. I will not do this again. I am so uncomfortable right now, and men don't even talk. So what am I going to do for the next 3 days leading these sessions?
Did you feel like you didn't have anything to offer because you're used to women? You know how to connect. You're like, what is the guy going to listen to me about?
It was fear.
Yeah.
It was fear that I was relying on myself, and it was exactly what I just said. I've always thought of men that, that we do all the talking and men don't talk as much. When I got there, everyone showed up. It was a completely full men's retreat. And I keep mine very small on purpose, but it was full. And I sat down, and as we started the session, the very first one man raised his hand. He's in his late 60s. He said, 47 years, 10 months, and 18 days for me.
Mm.
And the only people that know about it besides her are those of you in this room. It has haunted me all my life. And those men started opening up and sharing, and they were weeping because nobody had ever heard their story before, because no one was ever interested. Well, you're the man, you're the man. And I got to tell you, I had to repent. I had to beg God forgiveness. And I watched these men, and they never shut up until Sunday. And on Sunday, after all that happened throughout the weekend, all of them left different than what they came. God healed their hearts. They all said, tell us what to do. I want to be involved in this fight, but I felt like a hypocrite. One was a pastor who had 2 abortions from his college years, 2 different women, and always felt like a fraud every time he stood up on that pulpit because he'd never, ever dealt with it.
Yeah.
And all these men are talking, and then this one little guy raises his hands. He says, I need to say something, Vic. Don't you ever, unbeknownst to them, they didn't know about my Come to Jesus meeting on Thursday. He said, don't you ever stop doing these men's retreats. Because had it not been you leading, I would have never opened up this way. But I'd never felt judged by you. I never felt condemned. And I thought every woman in the world probably would hate me if they knew that I had participated or made my girlfriend have an abortion. And they all told me we're going home as better husbands and better fathers and better Christian men because of this weekend. So if you're a man and you've had an abortion, you need to get in touch with me.
Indeed.
Men are hurting too.
Well, and it's in some, not trying to psychoanalyze it, but I know this has to be true, is the truth is, we all get stuck at certain times in our lives of trauma at an age.
Yes.
And you have to be set free from that. And there's some Christian psychological techniques to kind of help you go retrieve the stuck kid, and maybe you guys use similar, I don't know. I was in a thing called Operation Restored Warrior, which was just for men. A lot of it was for PTSD, but they would also bring in civilians, and I had to get some freedom. And it's hard because the acting out of your life, the anger, the rage, or whatever it is, you're drinking or sex, whatever your fix is to try to function, is a result of not the behavior, but of something that wounded you and you're stuck. And I don't know how to get out. So you need to rip up that root. Well, the problem is, how painful it's going to be. And so you've learned how to cope all these years, so you didn't have to go face. I don't want to do that.
Deal with that.
There's no way I'm doing it.
Put that back here on the back shelf.
I've made it this far by not having to go face this trauma.
But Brad, what they understand is, what they realize in the weekend is, this is why I've always had an issue with my children not bonding with them.
No.
This is why I drink.
But I think instinctively,
all these different things.
Instinctively, we know we need to go do this thing. But we just don't want to face it because we've learned how to harden our hearts to survive, especially if you have trauma at a younger age, 15, 14, whatever. Yes. And so you are a mother to them.
Yes.
You're nurturing these men, these CEOs and rich guys or tough dudes with their hat, whatever you get. I'm sure you get all gamuts of masculinity.
Yes.
Tough guys.
Yep.
And for a second, Mama gets to say it's okay. So
yeah. I guess that I never thought of that.
No, it has. They need. That's where women's. See, there's a difference between a mom's hug and a dad's hug.
Yeah.
Okay. Mom's hug is let me handle this for you. Stay under the wing. I love you. Let me kiss the boo-boos away. It's a beautiful thing, and boys need that. Boys need that. Man, father's hug is, son, I'm here. I love you. You okay? I am. All right. Get back in the game. That's the dad's hug.
That really helps me because I've thought of different reasons why he said it. Because after he said that, all the other men echoed in and said, and I just wept. They didn't know why.
Yeah.
I got in my car and said, forgive me.
Yeah.
I was so blown away by what happened in that weekend. And now I continue to do men's retreats. Yeah. Now I do couples retreats with the couples who aborted their own child who are still together. Yeah. That started as well. Crazy. It's been incredible.
Well, yeah. I mean, some of these situations sound almost unfathomable that you would ever consider that. Do you think most abortions come out of ignorance of what you're doing or out of just sort of a panic?
I think it's a little bit of all of it.
Yeah.
I had a couple in my couples retreat who had an abortion after their wedding. They didn't want their very religious parents knowing they'd had sex before.
Oh, for crying out.
So they aborted their child that was about 5.5, 6 months pregnant.
Come on.
40 some years.
Well, and by the way,
when they came to my retreat, 40 plus years, they never talked about it in their marriage till the retreat.
And just so if they happen to, because they probably follow you. So if you happen to watch this, I wasn't condemning you for that thing. What I was getting at was, look what legalism does.
It does. Yes, and I hate legalism.
Well, because their own parents made them feel as though I couldn't go to you and say, look,
yes,
I know, but we're married now. Yes. Oh, well, we say, and by the way, I would say, honestly, Victoria, what is marriage really? Is it a piece of paper that Tennessee says you're married now? Yeah, that's a legal document.
Right.
It's important because it allows you to have rights and expectations of buying things and what you get and the different things that are going to be necessary as a couple that makes things legally binding and having heirs and everything. So I understand there's a part of that. But what is marriage? It's God saying, I've committed to one man, one woman as a sacred covenant for the rest of our lives. That's really what marriage is.
Be careful, Brad. You're going to have a lot of teenagers now going out there saying, we can have sex because Brad Stine said we are married.
No, what I'm saying, no, I didn't say that. What I said was, and if I didn't, then I'm glad you are helping me re-emphasize. What I mean by that is what a marriage is between a couple.
Yes.
I mean, if it was that easy, Victoria, then nobody get a divorce.
Yes.
So whether it's you have the paper or not is irrelevant. And that's what all the people that lived together said was, we don't need a piece of paper. Well, it kind of says you're skirting the issue. You don't want to be committed. What I was trying to get at is, when a man and a woman give their lives to each other. Because the words we use in wedding, by the way, are not just, hey, let's go do a little ceremony. You give
it's a covenant.
Vows to each other. A vow was get on your knee, take the sword, I'll die for the king. It was like unrepentant. Okay, you don't have guests, you have witnesses. Right. We will hold you accountable. So no, don't you think for a second that I'm saying, oh, it just matters in my heart. What I'm saying is that the heart of commitment to a woman and a man together without divorce, never an option, but most importantly, never going to cheat. I've given myself to you. That's sacred. And that's what I'm getting at. I think that when these people went through the ceremony and the legal, they had already purposed in their heart, we're married. It's going to be us. Yes. And they did it. They've proved it. So that's all I'm saying, is that the spiritual realm of the beauty of marriage, which is so much more deeper than people understand. When he references the church is the body of Christ and he is the bridegroom, that's how big marriage is to God. Yes. It's literally a shadow of what is the big connection. Because guess what? You're not married in heaven. You said there's no marriage in giving.
Mhm.
Do you understand that my wife, when I die, my daughter, when I die, is no longer my daughter? She's my sister.
Yeah.
That my son is no longer my son. He's my brother. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Because he said, I'm your dad. Everybody else is my kids.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
That's right. That's right.
Sorry. Jesus said there's no marriage in giving and marriage.
That's true.
And it feels wrong. No. I want to have my wife and my family,
Yeah.
and that's just us. And
But
he says,
you won't.
You do. No, but the beauty of that relationship of love and connection that is very intimate, he can only give you in small doses.
Right.
You said, wait till you get to heaven, and everybody has that covenant relationship
Mm.
as a family. It's actually much, much more. We just have this very myopic view of it because we're so selfish and sin-based
Yeah.
that we just give me my little hoard, and that's all. That's all we know how to do.
You're right.
So I'm not taking away family,
No, I didn't. think you
marriage,
were. Okay.
whatever. I want people to just understand the depth of what is expected in marriage. So as we wrap this up, Victoria,
Yes.
there are people listening,
Mhm.
watching, women, young ones who are pregnant as we speak.
Yeah.
We have men who force their girlfriend, whomever, get a divorce, who feels like I can't live with this. We have people who have done it and have held on to this for a long time, or it was recent.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I want you to do is talk to your camera,
Okay.
and you tell them, for those who are kind of in a stuck place, and I can't believe I fell upon this podcast and I'm going to get
Yes.
abortion tomorrow.
Right.
Tell them what you would give them, and then tell them, whomever else is grappling with this and said, I have to get healed,
Mhm.
how they can get a hold of your ministry and how
Okay.
they can go about that.
All right. I would say if you right now, it's not an accident if you found this podcast. It's happened many times when I've been in an interview or a podcast where I'll hear from someone on my social media accounts, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, saying, I was literally planning to have an abortion this weekend. And then your podcast showed up and there you were talking to these people about your own abortion. I would tell you that that wasn't an accident. That's a clue. And that's because the Lord is still wooing you to make the right choice, because he doesn't want you to walk through what myself and millions of others like me have walked. And if you look at me and think, well, you turned out okay, you're doing all right, you don't see those nights that I have when I am in the fetal position, when I look at my children and realize there should be more children here, there should be more grandchildren here. That is something that will be with me the rest of my life. I don't want you to walk that way. Abortion is a permanent solution for a temporary problem. And I guarantee you, having that baby and going through with the pregnancy won't be easy, but it will be much easier for you than if you choose to end the life of your unborn child. So I'm asking you to get in touch with me. Go to your local pregnancy resource center. They will help you. Don't let anyone tell you, oh, you're too young. You're a college student. You're a high school student. You can never amount to anything. That's not true. I was a young mother at 18 years old and I was married. And I was a mom of two by the time I was 21. It can be done. It can be done. And there's a lot of other people with that have walked through a lot harder times than I have, that have made a success of their life, and their children are very thankful they're here. And I want to just touch on this. If you, God forbid, have been raped, if you've been sexually assaulted and now you find yourself pregnant, you need to understand that less than 1% of women become pregnant from a rape. That is how actually miraculous that is. And I am not downplaying the rape. I would say to you that that rapist should pay to the fullest extent of the law for what he has done to you. He should pay with his
Amen.
life
Yes.
for what he did. Your baby should not, because that is still your baby. And I've had women, 2 in my 30-year career, only 2, and one who chose adoption. And she said, the Lord took the most ugliest thing that ever happened to me and turned it into something beautiful when I was able to give my son to a couple who could not have children. And it's the greatest decision I ever made. But the other woman had chosen abortion. And she said, Victoria, what they forgot to tell me was that was my baby too. And on top of the rape, now I have to deal with the trauma of choosing abortion. All lives matter. So get in touch with somebody to help. Get in touch with me. I will personally call you and we can get in a conversation and I will help you find the resources that you need. Now, if you're somebody who's already chosen abortion and you're walking that right now, just like I did for 10 years before I got help, whether it was last week, 6 months ago, 40, 50 years ago, it does not matter. If you're still carrying that guilt and the shame and just all of those things that come with the thoughts that you're having, and I know them because I've walked them, please get in touch with me and let's get you the help that I know the Lord wants you to find. And look, this isn't an accident for you either. He wants you to hear about ministries like Reassemble because he loves you so much. And every time we walk in our shame, every time we allow an enemy to convince us God hates us, would never love us, never use us because of what we did, it's like walking up to the cross while Jesus is hanging there and dying, slapping his face saying, that's not good enough. He died for all of our sins, including the sin of abortion. Now it's time for you to walk in that freedom, the freedom that only comes from Christ. So get in touch with me and I will help you find those resources, or you can come to a Reassemble retreat. So God bless you guys. Jesus loves you. No matter where you've been, he just wants to take you where he wants to take you. God bless you.
Well, here's the deal, guys. If you have had that experience, or as she said, something happened to you or some terrible scenario, but either way, you're listening to this and somehow this connects to you because you're involved in some way. I want you to think of this just for a second. Victoria had an abortion many years ago, and as traumatic and as difficult as it has been in her life to overcome the guilt and the shame, and did find answers, and there is an answer, but still grapples with it. I want you to notice something, though. Look at the fruit that came from her using that situation to heal others. That's what Christianity is. That's what a disciple is. We suffer for others. Jesus did it once for everybody. And then Jesus says, now it's your turn to be Jesus. That's what it's supposed to be. Your Christianity. Christian means little Christ. It's your turn to suffer for someone else. My point is, don't waste the pain.
Yeah, that's good.
The pain is there anyways. Use it to redeem others. You will see your child again. They're fine. They're with the living God who is your same Father. Let that sacrifice bear fruit that will be in honor of that child. That is a beautiful way to redeem something and bring hope and healing to people who don't know how to do it. Jesus Christ is actually God. He's the Messiah. The only religion that's true in the whole wide world. He's the only way to the Father. So accept him, believe in him, give your life to him. And if you are watching this recently and were curious because of what had happened to Charlie Kirk, and you said, I don't know what that is, but whatever that guy had, I wanted it. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Jesus, this guy that was real, not Thor, not Zeus, not a myth. Real guy, really existed, did impossible things, and has provided your freedom forever. But you got some work to do, like we all do. So join us in this amazing story that God keeps giving to those who give their lives to him. This is Victoria Robinson. Go to, you find Reassemble and see where you can maybe give to her ministry. Maybe you want to partner with it. Maybe she needs volunteers. I don't know. Or maybe you need help. But make sure you go do that and see what she's up to and follow her. And remember, folks, if they ever tell you you're being politically incorrect, I always say thank you for the compliment. Nothing could be greater than to never speak lies or self-censor. If you're a Christ follower, especially a disciple, you're the last truth teller on earth. And remember, I'm a comic, right? But God is using me for some reason. That's how bad things have gotten. So me, just doing what I do. Putting the woke back to sleep. See you next Monday.